going on, my people? What's happening? What is happening? I edited a lot today. I edited like fucking 8 videos or something. And I took a little break. And now I'm back to streaming. Probably won't be that long. And it's a chill stream today, as mentioned in the title. It's a chill stream. We are being chillin' today. What's up, Whistle Willie? Pathetic, always in the shadows of the great PPG. Good luck with your inferior stream. Thank you. Alright. Oh, thanks for the follow. Sophia Rose, welcome, welcome. Howdy, howdy. Which am I, stream VC? Alright, I think all we're gonna do is like literally react to 2 videos today. Because I've already done a lot of work, okay? Thanks Whistle and Willie for the follow. Whistle Willie, you've been here before, just with a different account, right? If I remember correctly. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. Alright. Got my caffeine. As always. I have a new account every day. Yeah, okay. Soon I'm gonna buy a better audio interface. So hopefully by then I can have a microphone almost as good as PPG's. Because right now the audio interface I have kind of sucks. So it's not like horrible, but it is a really high noise floor. So I'm using it to put numbers in account names. Jesus, why did my stream just lag so much? Is it lagging for you guys? On my end, it's showing. Dude, noise floor? Yeah. What about it? On my stream, it's showing quite a bit of lag. You think big college terms there? That's not really a big college term. That's just a regular audio. What's your dynamic range? I have no clue. I don't know what it is. We can look it up. If I can type, holy shit. Sure, SM7B. Dynamic range. PPG would know, I bet. 50 to 200, to 20,000 hertz. Which is well over what I need as a fucking streamer. So it's a good microphone. This microphone's really good. It's Shure SM7B. It's what everyone fucking uses, but the audio interface I have, not built for it. Are you reading the chats? Yeah. I didn't answer what game I'm into, did I? I don't know. I'm playing Minecraft right now. I'm into Minecraft. I've been playing Minecraft recently. Been playing Fortnite. All those meme games. All the meme 12-year-old child games. Obviously. I don't know. I like Fallout. Are you into GTA? Yeah, I played GTA online. I haven't really played the story mode that much. Is my stream like lagging a ton for you guys? Because I'm on my end, it's showing like really high dropped frames, but I can't imagine it's actually that high. It seems fine. It's not too bad. I don't know why it's bad at all. It was fine literally yesterday, so I don't really know what happened. Are you a daily streamer? I try my best. You know, there's that. All right.
Fox News commentator.
If this wasn't a chill stream, then maybe we would put more effort into it. But I don't think there's much I can do. We're having a nice chill stream, so.
Jessica Tarlov yet again handed out free but brutal fact checks to her four MAGA co-hosts about a variety of topics, including the vice president, J.D. Vance, the state of the 2024 election, and so much more, visibly triggering at least two of her co-hosts, and the whole thing was glorious, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. Another masterclass performance by Jessica Tarlov, giving Fox viewers facts.
Where are you from, by the way? America, North Carolina.
Probably to hear and certainly tend not to get in the absence of people like Tarlov and Marie Harf. Just the lack of information, which is probably getting to the audience of the single biggest.
Yes, I hit wait enough.
But she was on The Five today, and she was able to correct the record on a number of topics. And so we're going to play some of these clips and unpack them together.
But wouldn't it be nice if we heard from her instead of a spokesperson, at least on the plastic straw thing?
She did an interview last week. She sat down with Dana. Listen, the goalposts could not be moved any further. I understand this is something that aggravates the media because all we want to do is to have people accessible to us.
Besides streaming, what do you do? Good question.
They said. But this would carry a lot more weight if she hadn't just sat down with Dana Bash. She debate prep. If you want to mock her for trying to
have sex with a lot of women
of her life, that's going to fall on.
That takes up most of my time.
Kamala Harris is running a campaign that is resonating with the American public. That's just a fact about it. She has moved so far ahead of where Joe Biden was, up 7-8 points in some of these states. She just pulled in $361 million in fundraising in August. That's triple what Trump brought in. And the most exciting part of that is that 1.3 million of those donors are new donors, people who haven't given in this cycle at all. And
so let's talk about that for just a second, then we'll get back to Jessica. So she's absolutely correct. I mean, the first month of fundraising was already staggering. $500 million had been raised prior to
what about moving to Asheville?
The vice president. She took over the campaign.
That place
the time
is
that she became the presumptive Democratic nominee, $500 million had been raised. And then in just the month of August alone, $361 million compared to $130 million for Trump. That is a staggering asymmetry, once again putting distance between the two campaigns, because quite frankly, Trump was closing the gap when President Biden was still the Democratic nominee. So she's dominating in the polls, in the head-to-head and the swing states. Jesse Waters,
can I say something? Is he going to be promoting your graphic design?
Nate Silver's predictive model about who is favored to win the election, but just know, in terms of the polls, the vice president is ahead in both swing states and the head-to-head. Back to Jessica.
And the stories that people are trying to pin on her, like the Washington Post did this deep dive into the turnover within her office, also citing the fact, by the way, that Mike Pence had 83% turnover in his office if you're using the same standards. But these quotes are ludicrous. Like someone who worked for her said, it's stressful to brief her because she read all the materials and annotated it and prepared to talk through it. God forbid the woman actually read the briefing book. And this all flies in the face of what people had said about her, that she was unprepared, that she was pissed at people for not prepping her. It was all about how she took this so seriously that she took it like a prosecutor would and was like, I'm not just going to do this because you told me to. I'm going to ask you why. And I have not met yet a real live Democrat who says, you know what I'm really mad about? That I don't see Kamala Harris all the time in big interviews. They're watching her at rallies. They're listening to what she had to say. They're high off the DNC 100%, and they're giving their money.
Jesse, they're watching her at rallies.
She doesn't even believe that.
Jesse,
The Kamala whole,
I do.
It's fading. She's fading. Her numbers are fading. She peaked in August. Everybody knows it. Nate Silver now gets.
I don't think any of that's true. I'm glad he's just saying that.
Nate Silver's mad about his convention, but
I don't care how much money she raises. Hillary.
So there again, Jesse Waters is in denial. He's appealing to the fact that Nate Silver, who is one of the foremost election forecasters, currently has Donald Trump favored to win, but it's not based on the polls. It's factoring in a handicap, a negative handicap.
How do you feel about the Democrats trying to frame Tim Pool? If they're trying to frame Tim Pool, they're doing a really bad job, considering they did not even indict Tim Pool. They indicted two Russian agents, and they potentially could later indict Lauren Chen and her husband, who founded Tenet Media. So if they, I don't know, if they did that, they're doing a really bad job. I think Tim Pool also did a really bad job accepting money from Russia without questioning, who Edward Gregorian, their fake-ass investor, was. And then parroting Russian talking points. But, Or it was commentator 3 who parroted Russian talking points directly, at least from the documents that we have now, or the logs that the Discord logs. It's really funny they were using the Discord logs we have now. But I think commentator 3 is Dave Rubin, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. Bring up task manager and so show your CPU. It shouldn't be that bad unless Minecraft is really doing 86%. No, it's only at 50%. It really shouldn't be this bad even. I don't know.
The vice president didn't experience a post-convention bump. It's basically grading Trump on a curve because Republicans tend to be graded on a curve in our American system of politics. But let's just be very clear. In terms of the aggregate polling, both head-to-head and in swing states, the vice president is still ahead. Now, Donald Trump can still win the election, as I've been saying from the beginning. I know people in my audience don't always like it, but it is true because of those systemic advantages. But 538 has her ahead in aggregate polling, national head-to-head swing states. So does Real Clear Politics. So does Nate Silver himself. It's just his predictive model has her losing at the moment. So food for thought, but she's beating him in polling head-to-head, national, and fundraising as well. So Jessica is correct, and Jesse Waters is just coping.
So death penalty for traitors now? Hell yeah, of course, obviously. It is really funny that he said that. Will literally be, actually, I don't know if he said that at it being, well, at the exact same time he was on fucking Russian payroll, but it is fucking hilarious. What's the part of the Washington pool? Who the fuck trusts someone who wears a beanie in the summer?
True. Vance's solution is not what the American people want. The American people want universal background checks. The American people want stricter red flag laws. They want to raise the age at which you're able to buy a firearm. But instead, this is what's going on. And
they want security, which Kamala doesn't.
Okay.
Just put it out there.
It's crazy. I even agree with everybody, and yet you still have to disagree.
No, I disagree with everything you said about what Americans want.
Oh, but that's what it calls.
You left out the number one thing, which is hardening soft targets. That's what everybody wants.
Is the number one
yeah,
thing.
but the softening in schools that are that open, they're not like city schools in one building. They're basically open targets. You need to have security. Kamala Harris said she didn't feel comfortable having people.
So you see how the fact checks trigger Fox again? Do you see that? They just can't handle any sort of dissent in this respect. But Jessica Tarlov is right. The fact of the matter is most gun control provisions, like universal background checks and just stricter regulations in general, they are preferred by the American people. Unfortunately, because the NRA controls Republicans in Congress, we're not going to get gun control legislation commensurate with what the people want. Now, President Biden, to his credit, was able to get the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act passed.
I was about to say the Bipartisan Safer Community Act.
In 30 years. It also allowed for the creation of an executive branch office of gun violence prevention, which is a major step in the right direction in terms of allocating the funding and providing, regulatory oversight and expert involvement in terms of, the 50 states and the municipalities as they attempt to enforce the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. I should also say the Republicans are doing everything in their power to try to defund that office. And all of this is in the context of the recent school shooting in Georgia, which killed 4 people. Okay. So they just don't want to own the fact that the Democrats have an infinitely more popular and better supported position on gun control compared to the Republicans. But there's more.
Armed people at school.
Well, a lot of people, including most of the folks who are actually teachers, don't think that it's their job to know how to use a firearm and that they shouldn't have to be running.
That's why you have somebody there.
Of course there are some. Look, I'm trying to be reasonable, but that is over because I want to say something about
That's reasonable.
So the point that Barnacle was making, and I think it was really showcased yesterday. Trump did a press conference and these childcare comments, which we discussed yesterday on the show, but the New York Times and the AP, for instance, ran headlines that were completely unreflective of what he had said. They had, in this term that's floating around now, it's called sane washing it. So they came out with headlines that said, Donald Trump says, no, it's a real thing that's happening where they looked at a stream of consciousness that he said, and they picked out 7 words that actually make sense, and they slammed them together.
You mean like with Biden when they cleaned up the transcripts?
To try to move the goalposts. This is what I'm saying, and this is what they were commenting on MSNBC. If you consider the fact that Kamala Harris had a reputation for being incompetent, word salads all the time, how many times do we hear about the passage of time unburdened by what has been? That's because the media
the word salad criticism make no sense in the context of Trump.
And he says, my child care solution is, Marco Rubio, Ivanka, thank you. Child care isn't actually that expensive. Thank you. Tariffs. And suddenly he gave a normal press conference. And that's what people are talking about.
Okay, well, at least Donald Trump is getting up, Judge.
Yeah, the only people talking about that are the media blogs.
So I love it. I love how they're so triggered by that. They don't want to touch the fact that Donald Trump's recent performance at the Economic Club of New York was so wildly incoherent and indecipherable, especially when they have been routinely complaining that the vice president is somehow incompetent and unable to give cogent answers. And then you have Donald Trump giving the least cogent answer in the history of American politics. Well, at least he's standing up and answering. Like it's the participation trophy of answering questions, a calculus they would never, ever make for a Democrat, let alone Vice President Harris in particular. But again, they grade Trump on a curve because they're unprincipled losers who should be relentlessly mocked. But Jessica Tarlov is right. The press goes out of their way to grade Trump on a curve, including the mainstream media. where they look at that incoherent non sequitur and they pick out a bunch of words and just cram them together, a few words rather. It's ridiculous. And again, something they wouldn't do, certainly for President Biden, given that the entire media narrative was that Biden was incompetent, and the New York Times devoted more words and more inches of paper than one could possibly count to hyperfixating on any single gaffe or every single gaffe that the president made. But Trump is given something of a pass by comparison. So people are right to complain about it because, of course, the mainstream media really isn't an ally to the Democratic Party the way that Fox News, Newsmax, The Daily Wire, Stephen Crowder, Tim Pool, and all the others are to the Republican Party. So great performance by Jessica Tarlov, who triggered so many people. Jeanine Pirro, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld,
and the Russians as well. Can't forget that. Not only the Republican Party, but the it's not even to the Republican Party. It's to Donald Trump himself. They're the ones repeating all his fucking election fraud lies. I don't have any call.
Liberal Fox News commentator Jessica Tarlov brutally roasted Donald Trump in front of 4 of his most strident cultists at the Fox Propaganda Network after Trump rambled incoherently during a campaign event today instead of laying out a comprehensive economic agenda. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, and it combines some of my favorite things: Jessica Tarlov and Donald Trump's increasing decline. He is a terrible person. He is unfit to be president of the United States. And the more Americans are exposed to that fact, the better off we will be, because hopefully it will deter people from voting for him in the upcoming election. But first, let's play the clip from Jessica Tarlov, and then we'll get into some of the clips of Donald Trump. Jessica Tarlov here takes a bit of a victory lap because she's had to endure her 4 MAGA co-hosts ranting and raving and demanding infinite minutia from Vice President Kamala Harris with respect to economic policy. And Donald Trump was supposed to deliver that on his end, and he nosedived, and she rubs it in their faces.
But today was also about Donald Trump's economic speech, and we watched a lot of it. And I would dare any of you to listen to his answer on childcare and tell me what the hell he was talking about. It was one of the more incoherent things I've ever heard. He thinks tariffs are going to pay for everything. We know that they're a tax on the consumer. But this really highlights a big problem that everyone is saying, well, Trump is so transparent and Trump's out there and that's all that matters. What matters is the content of what he's saying. And none of it is explainable. This issue, which is a big priority for people, obviously a central plank of what's going on in the Harris campaign, he doesn't have an answer besides tariffs. And JD Vance yesterday was talking about just have grandma and grandpa do more, that's some sort of solution for people. He's going to have energy prices, drill baby drill, even though we're producing more oil than we ever have before.
In any other country in history of ever, correct.
And tariffs are the only way that we're going to be paying for it.
I think tariffs are designed to punish countries who subsidize their products.
No, for
oh, holy shit.
Look, I know.
You know what?
I know tariffs.
So I just want you to know something, okay? This is
how
you
tariffs.
Know that they know that everything she said was correct. Think about every time we review the 5, right? The Fox Propaganda Network in action. Greg Gutfeld, Jesse Waters, Jeanine Pirro, not so much Dana Perino, but Waters and Gutfeld in particular are so quick to heckle and mock and try to bully Tarlov. Here, she is so correct, and it's so undeniable that they're stunned into silence until Greg Gutfeld rallies there at the end and tries to say, well, listen, tariffs are designed to punish specific countries. Well, as every economist in the world will tell you, that's not how it works, because it's ultimately the American consumer who pays the price, quite literally, at the store for tariffs that are imposed on other countries. It worked. That's how it worked every time a tariff was imposed under the Trump administration when Trump was in office before. So as Jessica Tarlov says, it doesn't matter what the intent is. What matters is the end result, and the end result is predictable. At the end of the day, if Trump levies tariffs, punitive tariffs, I think on every imported good in the United States, it's American consumers who will pay the consequence. And again, when she says, I'd love for you all to explain what the hell he was talking about at the Economic Club of New York, none of them challenge her on it. None of them, not even Dana Perino, right? None of them speak up and say, well, listen, what he said was so coherent. And again, I love the fact how she's exposing that double standard. Donald Trump cannot and has never been able to give substantive policy-oriented answers to questions. It is a lie to pretend otherwise. If you don't believe me, listen to Donald Trump. Listen to him attempt to answer some of these damn questions related to childcare and other things. We're going to play some of these clips and unpack them together, but brace yourselves for maximum cringe.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that. And we're sitting down. I was we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. It's there's something you have to have.
Wow, good one, dude. That's crazy.
But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions.
No deficits. We're going to get to no deficits through tariffs. Wow.
Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare. But those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth. But growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as childcare is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because.
What the hell was that? Oh my God. That was objectively worse than literally anything that has ever left the mouth of President Joe Biden. If you're a conservative watching, if you're a Republican watching, if you're a centrist watching, if you are a person who has serious questions or doubts about President Biden's ability to communicate, if you are a critic of Joe Biden in this respect, let it be known that was objectively worse than literally anything to leave Joe Biden's mouth ever. The Harris campaign should just take that 2-minute clip and make every damn ad they possibly can. If 10 Americans see that, 8 of them, perhaps even 9, would say that Donald Trump needs to have his keys taken from him. It reminded me of a scene in, was it Billy Madison, that Adam Sandler movie back in the 1990s? I think it was Billy Madison, where he has to go back to school. And at the end of the film, he tries to give this speech about the puppy who lost his way. And he goes on this very passionately delivered non sequitur. And at the end, the debate moderator who asked the question was stunned. And he's like, at no point were you that was the single dumbest answer to a question I've ever heard. At no point were you anywhere close to a single coherent thought. I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. That is the answer. That is the response that Donald Trump's rambling there necessitates. I'm stunned. I mean, like, Donald Trump has said some really stupid, ridiculous things. I probably shouldn't be as surprised as I am, but it was almost like he couldn't stop himself. Like, he probably in real time, he's like, oh my God, this is getting away from me. Like, he was vaguely aware of his collapse in real time, and he just kept going. I'll eventually talk my way out of it. Oh, something's make America great again. And then I'm stunned, totally stunned. That clip is something you should all keep in your back pockets anytime you hear anybody on the right or the so-called center try to defend Donald Trump as a genius or as a competent figure, someone who understands policy, or criticizes Vice President Harris and President Biden. Super pathetic stuff. How are we going to address the child care costs? And then he just verbal diarrhea. Now, I will remind you that under the Biden-Harris administration, there was an enhanced child tax credit that was part of the American Rescue Plan, which every Republican opposed. No Republican voted for.
And Harris wants to expand it again.
And then when the time came, after it cut child poverty in half, thanks exclusively.
I was about to say, and it also reduced child poverty a lot.
When the time came to renew that enhanced child tax credit, which cut child poverty in half and made it easier for people to take care of their children, still not enough, but a major step in the right direction. One Democrat, Joe Manchin, and 50 Republican senators voted to not renew that enhanced child tax credit. The Republican Party is not the party of families and children, even though J.D. Vance is constantly on tour. Apparently, he was in front of every damn podcast in the world talking smack about people who don't or can't have children biologically. So they talk the talk in the worst possible way, I might add. They never deliver. And Donald Trump's total obliviousness, like, it never even occurred. What the hell? What do you mean reduce child care costs? I don't like my children. Do you like your children? I mean, why would I? Well, you want to take care of your children? I wish I took care of mine less than what I did. My God, I have to have a cue card to remind me of what my children's names are, except Ivanka. For obvious reasons, I remember who Ivanka is. It doesn't even register with this man that people want to reduce costs for taking care of their children. He has no answer for that whatsoever. But wait, there's more.
For 4 straight years, I fought for American workers like I would fight for my own family. I took care of our economy like I would take care of my own company. For 4 straight.
I don't know if you want to be saying that in public. As a reminder, Trump Media and Technology Group, Truth Social, Truth Essential, is just in free fall. Like, it is. I
forgot about that. Yeah.
Plus, he's had so many bankruptcies or whatever. I don't think you want to tell people that you took care of your country like you took care of your companies. Although, again, kind of makes sense given that he inherited, much like, it's actually so beautiful. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's actually totally perfect. Trump's right. He did take care of the country like he took care of his companies because he inherited something really, really good, just as he did in the business sense. He inherited, $100 million from his father, Fred Trump. Likewise, politically, he inherited a recovering economy, a recovering country from President Barack Obama, who had to spend 2 terms digging the country out of the mess left for it by the previous Republican president. And then in 3 years, Trump drove it into the ground. and presided over a botched pandemic, which killed 500,000 Americans on his watch and contributed to the deaths of another 500,000 because he allowed the virus to proliferate and didn't do his best efforts to corral the virus.
And
the economic
Biden
consequences
came in and
as
fixed that
well.
shit.
I mean,
Higher real
I guess Trump was right on
GDP
that.
than
He
projected
did take care of the country like he took
pre-COVID.
care of his company, and that means he should be nowhere near the C-suite or the executive boardroom, and he certainly should be nowhere near the White House as a consequence of that. But absolutely staggering stuff, folks. Again, Jessica Tarlov was right to call it out. The Fox hosts that she was rubbing it in the face of were right to keep their mouths shut for as long as possible, because there is no salvaging that disastrous performance at the Economic Club of New York by Donald Trump. And that means you and I and everybody else have an obligation to make sure it stays in the news and goes as viral as possible. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.
All right, Nicole. Okay, I want to watch I don't know if we'll watch all of this. I feel like it's gonna make me lose my mind.
Communism.
Cenk went on the Lex Friedman podcast. I heard that one viewer told me, who hasn't been back, but that one viewer told me it was mostly about like money and politics stuff, which is all gonna make me fucking lose my mind. One day I think we probably actually will at one point read the Citizens United decision. And maybe the dissenting opinion as well. It's pretty long though. I think we looked at it. It's like, I think both of them are like 30 pages long. Hero Bright. So it's gonna be hella annoying, but we'll do it because I don't think most people really have a good understanding of what Citizens United actually did.
No sense at all. Totally opposed to human nature. It never works. It always evolves into dictatorship. It creates a power vacuum. When you say, hey, there's no structure of power here, right? We're all equal. It's a flat line. One guy usually gets up because that's human nature and goes, I don't think so. I think if you're going to leave a power vacuum, I'm going to take that power vacuum. Corporatism hates competition. It wants monopoly and oligopoly power. Whereas capitalism loves competition and wants the free markets. When mainstream media has you hooked, you got no hope because you don't have the right information. You have propaganda, you have marketing, you don't have real news. When you're in the online world, it's chaotic. And don't get me wrong, it's got plenty of downsides, right? But within that chaos, the truth begins to emerge. Trump is a massive risk because of all the things we talked about earlier.
Sometimes.
But there is a percentage chance that he's such a wild card that he overturns the whole system. And that is why the establishment is a little scared of him.
The following is a conversation with Cenk Uygur, a progressive political commentator and host of The Young Turks. As I've said before, I will speak with everyone, including on the left and the right of the political spectrum, always in good faith with empathy, rigor, and backbone. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I say stupid,
Rigor and
inaccurate,
backbone.
ineloquent things.
That's
And I
not really
frequently
what you
change my
did during
mind as I'm
the
learning
Trump
and thinking
interview.
about the world. For all this, I often get attacked. Sometimes fairly, sometimes not. But just know that I'm aware when I fall short, and I will keep trying to do better. I love you all. This is the Lex Friedman Podcast. To support it, please check out our sponsors in the description. And now, dear friends, here's Cenk Uygur.
You wrote a book,
Yeah.
a manifesto that outlines the progressive vision for America. So the big question, what are some defining ideas of progressivism?
Yes. So in order to do that, Lex, we got to talk about where we are in the political spectrum. And in fact, there's two different spectrums now.
I'm
People
a
often think of
centrist
left,
in
right.
Europe.
And that's true. That exists. But layered on top of that is now populist versus establishment. So
Okay.
I'm center left on the left-right spectrum, but I'm all the way on the populist end of the second spectrum. So where does progressivism lie within that? Well, I would argue that it's exactly in those places. It's populist and it's on the left, but it is not far left. So far left is a different animal, and we could talk about that in a little bit. So in terms of what makes a progressive, so expand the circle of liberty and justice for all and equality of opportunity. Now people will say, well, that seems pretty broad and all-American, but is it? Think about it. So expand the circle of liberty. Everybody's in favor of that, right? No, absolutely not. So certainly the King of England was not in favor of expanding the circle of liberty, and the Founding Fathers said, we're going to expand it. And they expanded it to propertied white men. And then progressives have been, they're progressives because they expanded the circle of liberty. They then from then on, as we were perfecting the Union, progressives always say expand it further, include women, include people with...
I really liked when we read about that. We didn't finish reading it because it was really long and I was tired. So we should have probably finished reading it at some point. The in one of the consumption tax things, which I don't know. Where it is. Oh, it was in it's in here. The basic income capitalism thing. I'm lying. I really like this. He called it like Lex Minium, like Lex Mini Freedom or something. Fuck, I didn't write down the actual term. God damn it. Because I knew I was going to forget. I should, because I know. Lexi, oh my god, I forgot I was fucking like that. Yeah, I really like the way this this laid out a vision for society. It wanted three big important things: a well-enforced structure of rights, the security condition. The structure is such that each person owns herself, self-ownership condition. And third is the Lexmanian Friedman thing. This structure is such that each person has the greatest possible opportunity to do whatever she might want to do. On the third condition, the person with the least opportunities experiences no fewer opportunities than the person with the least opportunities under any other feasible arrangement. I really like this. I really like this stuff. So we should probably keep reading that at some point.
Without property, include all races, and at every turn, conservatives fight against it. So that doesn't mean if you're a conservative today, you don't want to include women or minorities, etc. But today you would say, for example, well, I don't want to expand the circle of liberty to, for example, undocumented immigrants. And maybe you're right about that, and we could have that discussion in terms of a specific philosophy. And I don't believe that undocumented immigrants should immediately be citizens or anything along those lines. But I do believe in expanding liberty overall. And the contours of that are what's interesting. And then you say justice for all. Everybody's for justice. No, right now, marijuana possession is still illegal in a lot of parts of the country. Now, a lot of right-wingers and left-wingers agree that it should be legal. But for my entire lifetime, black people have been arrested at about 3.7 times the rate of white people. And the entire country has been fine with it. So is that justice? No, they smoke. White people, black people smoke marijuana at the same rate. Black people get arrested about 4 times the rate. That is an injustice that an enormous percentage of the country was comfortable with. Well, progressives aren't comfortable with it. We want justice for all. So the equality of opportunity is an interesting one because the far left will say, so at least some portions of them will say equality of results, right? So progressives just want a fair chance. So free college education, but afterwards, you don't get to have exact same results as either the wealthiest person or we're not all going to be equal. We don't have equal talent, skills, abilities, etc.
There's a lot of questions I can ask there. So on the circle of liberty, yes, so expanding the number of people whose freedoms are protected. But what about the magnitude of freedom for each individual person? So expanding the freedom of the individual and protecting the freedoms of the individual. It seems like progressives are more willing to expand the size of government, where government can do all kinds of regulation, all kinds of controls on the individual.
That's
so like, we're probably going to talk about a lot
positive
today,
freedom, though.
And so a lot of people think, oh, I'm on the right, I'm on the left. And that comes with a certain preset ideology. So the right is always correct, the left is always correct. So there's 2 problems with that. Number one, how could you possibly believe in a preset ideology if you're an independent thinker? It's literally, by definition, not possible. If you say, I lent my brain to an ideology that was created 80 years ago or 8 years ago or 800 years ago, and I'm not going to change it, you're saying, I don't think for myself. I bought into a culture. And by the way, there's a lot of different forms of culture you could buy into. Religion, politics, sometimes racial, etc. So that's why you need actually balance. The second reason you need balance, other than independent thought, is because the answer is almost never black and white. And that gets into a really interesting nuance because mainstream media, in my opinion, is the matrix. And its job is to delude you into thinking corporate rule is great for you and we should never change it and the status quo is wonderful. So they have created a false middle.
It's a little extreme.
What mainstream media calls moderate is actually, in my opinion, extremist corporate ideology. So, for example, they'll say Joe Manchin is a moderate. None of his positions are moderate other than potentially gun control in West Virginia. He's not for gun control. The people of West Virginia are not for gun control, generally speaking. So, and he uses that. And they usually have these shiny objects where they're like, you see this? I'm a moderate because of guns. Or I'm a moderate because I'm a Democrat from West Virginia. But wait, let's look at your positions. You're against paid family leave. That polls at 84%. So you're a radical corporatist who say that women should be forced back into work the day after they have birth. You're against a higher minimum wage. You're for every corporate position, and they all poll at 33% or less. So Joe Manchin is not at all a moderate, and this applies to almost every corporate Republican and every corporate Democrat. They're all extremists in supporting what I call corporatism.
So
you have to get to a balance in order to get to the right answer.
Really?
So that's an
2 people
so you're
you
actually,
hate
as far as I understand, pro-capitalism.
Yes.
Which is an interesting place to be. That's the thing that probably makes you center left and then still populist. You're full of beautiful contradictions, let's say this, which will be great to untangle. But what's the difference between corporatism and capitalism? Is there a difference?
So I really believe in capitalism. I don't think that there's really a second choice. Where it gets super interesting is the distinction between capitalism and socialism, because that's not at all as clear as people think it is. And people often say socialism and communism as synonyms when they're not synonyms, right? And so I view it as there's basically 4 distinct areas. It's obviously a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum, right? On one end, you have communism on the left, and on the other end, you have corporatism on the right. Okay, and I would argue that capitalism is in the middle. And so, communism, we know, state owns all property. You're not allowed to have private property. So I will piss off a lot of people in this show. And so I'm asking for their patience. Please hear me out. And because don't worry, I'm going to piss off the other side too. Okay. So communism makes no sense at all. Totally opposed to human nature. It never works. It always evolves into dictatorship because it is not built for human nature.
I don't know why he's using
We're never going to.
He's using the human nature argument because he can't use any of the other ones because they would also implicate like any of the economic arguments would also implicate his dumbass populist policies as well.
Act like that. It's not in our DNA. You could try to wish it into existence, and they have, and it never works. And it's because once you have almost no rules in terms of, oh, we're all equal, and even though communism eventually winds up having an enormous amount of rules, right? It creates a power vacuum when you say, hey, there's no structure of power here, right? We're all equal. It's a flat line. One guy usually gets up because that's human nature and goes, I don't think so. I think if you're going to leave a power vacuum, I'm going to take that power vacuum.
That's actually a really interesting way to put it, because when everyone is equal, nobody is in power, and human nature is such that there's a will to power. So when you create a power vacuum, somebody's going to fill it. So the alternative is to have people in power, but there's a balance of power, and then there's like a democratic system that elects the people in power and keeps churning and rotating.
That is exactly it, Lex. You got it exactly right, in my opinion. Okay, so that's why communism never works and can never work. So it's an idea of like we're all going to work as hard as we possibly can and take only what we need. Where? When has that ever happened in the history of humanity, right? We're just not built that way. So, okay, we can get into that debate with my friends on the left, etc. Now, corporatism is just as extreme and just as dangerous. And that is basically what we have in America now. What we have in America now, and this is another giant trick that the Matrix played on everybody, that they did in a shell game, and all of a sudden extreme corporatists like Manchin and almost every Republican in the Senate are moderates. Oh my God, Mitch McConnell all of a sudden is a moderate, and et cetera. As long as you're not a populist. Populists are never moderate, okay? But if you love corporations and corporate tax cuts and everything in favor of corporations, you're magically called a moderate when you actually, according to the polling, have super extreme positions that the American people hate. And by the way, that's part of the reason for the rise of Trump. We can come back to that, okay? But
there's a good meme. God damn it. There's a good meme of a political compass that's there was like the Zoomer political compass. And it has like it's like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and then me, center left in Europe. This is I have a feeling Cenk is gonna do this quite a few times, but you know, I mean, some of the things he'll be right about. We are, like he mentioned, paid family leave. Like we are super far behind in that. Like most other countries have much higher mandated paid family leave than we do. But
the second shell game is taking out capitalism, putting in corporatism, but still calling it capitalism. Okay, so what is corporatism? It is when corporations slowly take over the system and create monopoly and oligopoly power. So that snuffs out equality of opportunity. So how do they do that? When people say the system is rigged, they oftentimes can't explain it that well. And then mainstream media goes, oh, you sound conspiratorial. Rigged, yeah, I wonder how. Yeah, super easy to explain it. Here's one of dozens of examples. Carried interest loophole. So that is for hedge funds, private equity, the top people on Wall Street. That's part of their income. They get 2 and 20.
I don't know if this is the best example. As a based consumption tax pilled person, I don't know if I would use. I don't know if I would just use carried interest as the big evidence that the system was rigged. But
right,
okay.
So 2% is a flat fee no matter what happens to the fund, and 20% of the profits of the fund goes back to the people who invested it. It's not their money. It's not their investment. What they're getting is actually just income and should be taxed at the highest rate. But it's because of this loophole, it's taxed at a much lower rate, at around 20%. So do you know at what income level you go above 20% if you're a regular Joe? It's at $84,000 a year. So these billionaires are getting the same tax rate as people making $84,000
Dragon Ball Z runs over Cenk. Welcome back, Keto.
And that's corporatism taking over and starting to rig the rules. I'm going to pay less taxes. You're going to pay more taxes. Okay. So again, I can give you dozens of those examples. So and mergers, so that they get to oligopoly power. That's how you rig a system. Lowering the corporate tax rates, making sure that there is no real minimum wage, making sure there's no universal health care. We all become
making sure there is no real minimum wage. The mergers can't. There's got to be something good I can read of this. There is definitely an argument for mergers sometimes. For example, like I don't remember if it ended up being blocked or not. I remember like Biden and the FCC moved to like block the the merger of some budget airlines. The argument there is like, well, these budget airlines, aren't like really in competition with each other. They're more in competition with the big budget airlines, right? So it makes more sense for them to merge so they can better compete against their real competition, the bigger budget airlines. The bigger non-budget airlines. You could say the same of like when Cedar Fair and Six Flags merged. Well, for the most part, they're not really in competition with each other because you either live closer to a Cedar Fair park or a Six Flags park by a wide margin. And you're not going to go to one or the other based on what they have there, right? So they're not really in competition with each other. They are both in competition with other forms of entertainment. So allowing them to merge can actually strengthen competition in that respect. Yeah. And there are other like reasons to allow mergers, but yeah, there's got to be something. There's got to be something. Someone has to have written an essay on that, like the case for corporate mergers. It's an evil Cato funded. Actually, Cato probably did write a fucking piece on that. Maybe we should look that up.
Indentured servants of corporations. They take away power from the average guy, give it to the most powerful people in the world. But the most important distinction, Lex, is that corporatism hates competition. It wants monopoly and oligopoly power. Whereas capitalism loves competition and wants the free markets. And I remember, we started Young Turks back in 2002. So we've been around for 22 years, longest running daily show on the internet ever. And so we were pre-Iraq war.
Done it
and the Iraq war
daily for
starts and Dick
22
Cheney starts
years.
handing out no-bid contracts. I'm like, what part of capitalism is a no-bid contract? You can't negotiate drug prices. That's the most anti-free market thing I have ever heard.
This part is true. He's going to be mostly true and based here. I would use that as a better example than the carried interest loophole. But yeah.
It's almost like communism for corporations. They get everything, you get nothing, right? So it's preposterous, it's awful, and it kills the free markets, and it's killing this country. And it is the main ideology and religion of the establishment.
Are all companies built the same here? So when you say corporatism, it seems like, just looking here at the list of by industry lobbyists, it seems like there are certain industries that are worse offenders than others, like pharmaceuticals, like insurance, oil and gas.
Yeah.
So it seems to me, it feels wrong to just throw all companies into the same bucket of like they're all guilty.
No, they're not all guilty. So let's make a bunch of distinctions here. So first of all, are they quote unquote guilty? No, they're doing something that is logical and natural, right? So if you're a company, do you want to pay higher taxes or lower taxes? Of course you want to pay lower taxes, right? Do you want to have higher employee costs or lower employee costs? Of course you want lower employee costs, right? So, but the government needs to understand that and protect us from that power that they are going to exercise to get to those results. And if you think free markets is there is no government, you read it wrong. Go back and reread Adam Smith. He says you must protect against monopoly power. If you do not protect against monopoly power, you will have no free markets. And he's absolutely right. So second distinction is between small business and big business. That's why Republicans will always be like, oh, we're doing this for small business. That's why we got the biggest oil companies in the world, $30 billion in subsidies. What happened to small business, right? So I run a small business. And so if people were to say like, hey, maybe there should be exemptions for some of the regulations if your company has less than 5 employees, 10 employees, 50 employees, et cetera. There's some logic in that because businesses have different stages of growth and they have different interests and different needs in those stages of growth. And we want to facilitate small business growth because that's great for the economy, that's great for markets, freedom, et cetera. But the bigger corporations, even there's a third distinction. It isn't that there's certain industries that are worse.
Small business, I wouldn't say is intrinsically better for the economy or growth in big business. But okay.
Just that there are industries that are better at lobbying. So anyone who, like right now, number one donor in Washington, a lot of people make a mistake. They think it's APAC or they think it's the oil companies or the banks. No, it's Big Pharma. Okay. And who has the most power in this country? Big Pharma. So we can't even negotiate the drug prices. I mean, look, guys, think about it this way. That's like saying, okay, here's a bottle of water. And normally in the free market, that would cost about $1, right? And in the for Medicare, the drug companies come in and go, no, I'm not charging $1 for that water. I'm charging $100. And the government has to say, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Of course, sir. We'll pay $100. That's why I compare it to communism, because I can't imagine anything more diametrically opposed to the free market than You, the consumer, have to pay whatever the hell a corporation charges. That's insanity, let alone the patents, let alone the fact that the American people pay for the research and then they make billions of dollars off of it and we get nothing but robbed by them. So it's about lobby power. Oil companies have huge lobby power. Defense contractors have huge lobby power. It's not that they're more evil. It's just that they have figured out the game better and they have basically taken the influence they need to capture the market, capture the government, and snuff out all competition.
Well,
or a lot of competition.
Figured out the game better. So I think a lot of companies are good at winning the right way by building better products, by making people happier with the work they're doing, and winning at the game of capitalism. And then there's other companies that win at the game of lobbying. And I just want to sort of draw that distinction because I think it's a small subset of companies that are playing the game of lobbying. It's like big pharma.
So, Lex, first of all, you have to set rules for what makes sense. Not, oh, I don't like this industry, or I don't like this company, or hey, this company's not doing that much lobbying at this point. They will later when they realize what's going on. So, for example, in my opinion, AIPAC has totally bought almost all of Congress, and so now other countries are going to wake up and go, wait, you could just buy the American government? So AIPAC is going to spend about $100 million in this cycle, and then they're getting $26 billion back. So every country in the world is soon going to realize, oh, take American citizens that live there, give them a tremendous amount of money, and just buy the U.S. government, right? But for corporations, they've already realized that on a massive scale, right? So, for example, in the two industries you gave, automotive. So in New Jersey, about a decade ago or so, one of the most powerful lobbies is car dealerships. So at the national level, you got pharma and you've got defense contractors, et cetera. At the local level, guys who have huge power, number one is utilities, number two is real estate, and then car dealerships are hilariously among the top, right? Because it's local businesses that are financing the politicians at the local level.
I mean, utilities are natural monopolies, so they're always going to be somewhat integrated. What the? That ain't right. Okay.
So they passed a law saying that you have to sell through dealerships, but Tesla doesn't sell through dealerships. And it was intended to bully, intimidate, and push out Tesla out of the market. They then did that in a number of different states.
That could be true, but hasn't that law been in place for longer than I thought it was only legal to sell through dealerships for way longer than Tesla's been a company, but I guess maybe that's true.
Does that make any sense in a democracy? Of course not. Why do you have to sell your product through a specific vehicle or medium? You can sell it any way you like. That's the most anti-free market thing possible. Why? It was just total, utter corruption. But it's perfectly legal. The Supreme Court legalized bribery. So then what happened in that case? So then Elon came in and gave campaign contributions and reversed it. So now we're in a battle where it's an open auction, right? Different companies are buying different politicians, and then they're pretending to have debates about principles and ideas, etc. So now let's look at tech. In the beginning, Facebook was not spending any money in politics, or almost any money in politics. So what happens? They're getting hammered. They get pulled into congressional hearings, and Facebook's got fake news, and oh my God, all these trouble from Facebook. Then Facebook does the logical thing. Oh, it turns out I need to grease these sons of bitches. Okay. So then they hire a whole bunch of Republican consultants. They go grease all the Republicans and most of the corporate Democrats. And then all of a sudden, we're no longer talking about Facebook at all, and Facebook are angels. And now we've turned our attention to who?
What does that even mean? Grease them? Are they donating to Super PAC or something? Is that what because they're limited on the amount they can contribute directly to them, right? So wouldn't they would have to, he's saying it'd have to be through a PAC or Super PAC, right? Is that really what changed their minds on that? Or
editor,
source,
TikTok.
Please.
Funny how that works. Okay. And by the way, then Donald Trump goes, TikTok's a big dangerous company. They're working with China. Okay. And then Jeff Yazd comes in on this cycle.
This is true because it confirms my priors that Trump is bad.
Of course, right? So he gives Trump a couple of $1 million. Trump turns around the next day and goes, we love TikTok. TikTok's a good company, right?
So that's a big contributor to influencing what politicians say and what they think. But it's not the entire thing, right?
No, it is. It's 98%. I'll go on mainstream media and they'll be like, oh, I see what you're saying. I can see how that influences politicians about 10%. I'm like, no, it's 98%. So, and even 50, a lot of good people think it's 50-50. They have principles and they have money. No, they have money and there's smidge of principles. That's why I wanted to clarify 98 too.
Okay, so how do we fix it? So it's really...
How is he quantifying that based off of the 98% of the time the most well-funded candidate wins? I don't know. I can't wait till he brings that up.
Interesting and nice that you're pro-capitalism and anti-corporatism. So how do we create a system where the free market can rule, where capitalism can rule? We can have these vibrant flourishing of all these companies competing against each other and creating
Joe Biden for antitrust.
So in the book, I call it democratic capitalism as opposed to Bernie's democratic socialism, right? We can get into that distinction in a minute. But so as Adam Smith said, and anyone who studies capitalism knows, you need the government to protect the market as well as the people. Because why do we have cops? Because if we don't have cops, somebody's going to go, well, I like Lex's equipment. Why don't I just go into his house and take it, right? So you need the cops to protect you, and that's the government. So people say, oh, I hate big government. Do you? Right? It depends, right? If your house is getting robbed, all of a sudden you like the government. But you also need cops on Wall Street. because if you allow insider trading, the powerful are going to rob you blind and the little guy's going to get screwed. So that's this easy example. And so if you don't have those cops, the bad guys are going to take over. They're going to set the rules, rig the rules in their favor. So that's why you need regulation. And so the Republicans on purpose made regulation a dirty word. They're like, oh, all regulation is bad. And then sometimes on the left, people fall for the trap of all regulation is good. A guy I like has a great analogy on this, Matt Stoller. He's one of the original, I would argue, progressives. And there's about 4 of us, I'm sure there's more, but that have stayed true to the original meaning of progressivism and populism. Me, Matt Stoller, David Sirota, Ryan Grim.
Progressives.
Okay. And it used to be in
Ryan
that original
Grim,
blogger group, there was guys like Glenn Greenwald and other interesting cats, right? But they went in different directions. So Matt has a great line. He says, if somebody comes up to you and says, how big a pipe do you want? There is no answer for that. It depends on the job, doesn't it? Right? What are we doing? What are we building? I'm going to tell you the size of the pipe depending on the project. So when people say, are you in favor of regulation or against it? That's an absurd question. Of course you need regulation. It just means laws, right? So don't kill your neighbor is a regulation, right? So my idea is a simple one and one we're going to keep coming back to, balance. So when my dad was a small business owner in New Jersey and they inspected elevators 6 times a year, that was over-regulation. And I said to my dad, so should they not inspect it at all? I'm a young kid growing up. And he said, no, you got to inspect it at least twice a year. I said, why? He said, because in Turkey, sometimes they don't inspect it and then the elevator falls. Okay. So bounds of reason, correct regulation to protect the markets and to protect the American people.
Yeah, but finding the right level of regulation, especially in, for example, in tech, something I'm much more familiar with, is very difficult because people in Congress are living in the 20th century before the internet was invented. So like, how are they supposed to come up with regulations?
Yeah.
That's the idea of the free market, is you should be able to sort of compete. The market regulates. And then the government can step in and protect the market from forming monopolies, for example, which is easier to do.
Yeah, but that's a form of regulation.
Right. But then there's like more checking the elevator twice a year. That's a more sort of specific watching, micromanaging.
So, Lex, here's the deal. There's no way around the laws are made by politicians. Okay. Yeah. So you can't give up then and go, oh, it's a bunch of schmucks. I think most politicians are just servants for the donor class. The media makes it sound like they're the best of us. Oh, they deserve a lot of honor and respect and they kiss their ass, etc. I think generally speaking, they're usually the worst of us, especially in this corporatist structure, right? Because they're the guys who their number one talent is, yes, sir. No, sir. What would you like me to do with your donor money, sir? Absolutely. I'll serve you completely, or 98%.
That's all they do.
So in this structure, the politicians are the worst of us. But at some point, you need somebody elected to be your representative to do democratic capitalism so that you have capitalism, but it's checked by the government on behalf of the people. It's the people that are saying, these are the rules of the land, and you have to abide by them. So how do you get to the best possible answer, which is related to an earlier question you asked, Lex, which is the number one thing you have to do is get big money out of politics. Everything else is near impossible as long as we are drowned in money. And whoever has more money wins. And by the way, when it comes to legislation, again, that's true about 98%
we're no longer just money in
we predict
politics.
things ahead of time. People are like, wow, how did you know that bill wasn't going to pass or was going to pass? It's the easiest thing in the world. And we literally teach our audience on the Young Turks. Watch, you'll be able to see for yourself. And now our members comment in, they do these predictions. They're almost always right? Because it's so simple. Follow the money. So if you get big money out of politics, and I can explain how to do that in a sec, then you're at a place where you got your best shot at honest representatives that are going to try their best to get to the right answer. Are they going to get to the right answer out of the gate? Usually not. So they pass a law. There's something wrong with the law. They then fix that part. It's a pendulum. You don't want it to swing too wildly, but you do need a little bit of oscillation in that pendulum to get to the right balance.
By the way, I was listening to Joe Biden from when he was like 30 years old, the speeches. He was eloquent as hell. It's fun to listen to, actually. And he has a speech he gives, or just maybe a conversation in Congress, I'm not sure where he talks about how corrupt the whole system is. Yeah. And he's really honest and like fun. And that Joe Biden's great, by the way. That guy, I mean, age sucks. People get older. But he was talking quite honestly about like having to suck up to all these rich people, and that he couldn't really suck up to the really rich people. They said, come back to us 10 years later when you're like more integrated into the system.
Is that true? Really are most politicians a salesman for one big donor? I haven't done a ton of reading into it, but I would imagine, and not really. I think Cenk is overestimating how much the money influences people. Like he'll mention, like, he hasn't mentioned it yet, but like the statistic, like, he's assuming causality basically when it's hard to prove that. Like politicians or donors could just be donating to people who either on principle already support their interest, or they're just donating to the person more likely to win, so that they hopefully can advance their interests. I think he's probably overestimating how big of a role money actually plays. But I don't know. I don't think what are some policies that have gotten passed because of a lot of money from lobbying that aren't very popular with the American people? I guess he mentioned paid child leave hasn't gotten passed, potentially because of corporate interest when that poll is pretty highly. But
that's how it is. That's what we have to do, and that really sucks that that's what we have to do.
Yeah. So we did a video on our TikTok channel, then and now, of Joe Biden. This is when I was trying to push Biden out.
We should say you're one of the people early on saying Biden needs to step down.
Yeah, I started about a year ago because I was positive that Biden had a 0% chance of winning, and it turned out. By the way, 2 days before he dropped out, his inside advisors inside the White House said, "Yeah, near 0% chance of winning."
Yeah.
So we were right all along.
You got a lot of criticism for that, by the way. But yeah,
yeah, we can come back to that. Yes, I did, and which makes it Tuesday for me. I get a lot of criticism for everything. And by the way, Democratic Party, you're welcome. Yeah. So, but Biden's a really interesting example. I'm really glad you brought it up. So the video on TikTok was just showing Biden then, Biden now, and you're right. Biden was so dynamic. When you see how dynamic he was, we did like side by side, right? And then you see him now going, anyways, right? You're like, oh, that's not the same guy. I get it, right? So, and I got like 5 million views because it resonates. They're like, yeah, of course, right? But when he first started, to the point you were making, Lex, in fact, I know because I talked to him about this. His very first bill was anti-corruption. Why? Because at that point, everything changes in 1976 78. The Supreme Court decisions that basically legalized bribery. But remember, Biden is ancient, so he's coming into politics at a time when money has not yet drowned politics. And in fact, the American population is super pissed about the fact that it's begun. They don't like corruption. So early Biden, because he's reading the room, is very anti-corruption. And the first bill he proposes is to get money out of politics. Okay. But as Biden goes on for his epic 200-year career in Washington, he starts to get not more conservative, more corporate, because he's just taking more and more money. By the middle of his career, he has a nickname, the senator from MBNA. Okay. MBNA was a credit card company based in Delaware. And the reason he had that nickname is because there isn't anything Joe Biden wouldn't have done for credit card companies and corporations based in Delaware, which are almost all corporations. Okay. So he became the most corporate senator in the country and hence the most beloved by corporate media. And corporate media has protected him his entire career until about a month ago. So, for example, in the primaries, both in 2020 and 2024, if you said the senator from MBNA, I guarantee you almost no one in the audience has heard of it. If you heard of it, good job. You know politics really well, okay? But the reason you didn't hear of it is because the mainstream media wouldn't say that's outrageous of Joe Biden to be such a corporate stooge. They'd say, that's outrageous of you to point out something that's true and something we reported on earlier, okay? And so they protected him at all costs. Now, finally, when you get to this version of Joe Biden, he can't talk, he can't walk. He bears no resemblance to the young guy who came in saying that money in politics was a problem. Now he's saying money in politics is the solution. And in 2020, he said, well, I can raise more money than Bernie. I can kiss corporate ass better than Bernie. I'm the biggest corporate ass kisser in the world. So I'm going to raise $1 billion and you need to support me. Now, of course, he doesn't say it in those words, but that was a message to the establishment. And Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Obama, Clyburn, everybody goes, oh, that's right. Oh, Biden, not Bernie. I don't know that there's anybody in the country who instinctually dislikes Bernie more than Barack Obama.
Fucking hell.
Oh, that's an interesting. I'm not taking attention at this moment. Because you mentioned mainstream media. What's the motivation for mainstream media to be corporatist also?
So first of all, they're giant corporations. So they're all multi-billion-dollar corporations. In the old days, we had incredible number of media outlets. So you go to San Francisco, there'd be at least 2 papers, and there'd be a paper boy, and I'm going all the way back, paper boy on each corner, and they're competing with one another. Literally, they'd be catty corner, right? And one guy's going, oh, here are all this details. So they're trying to get an audience. They're trying to get people interested. So they're populist, they're interesting, they're muckrakers, they're challenging the government. Fast forward to now, or not now, but about a decade ago, 5 years ago, in that ballpark, now there's only 6 giant media corporations left, and it's an oligopoly, right? And they're all multi-billion-dollar corporations. They all want tax cuts. Half of them are also, especially about 20 years ago during the Iraq War, half of them are defense contractors.
God, not many
so they're just using the news as marketing.
Picture so I could look it up. I don't know if that's true or not.
To start wars like the Iraq War, and then GE, which owned MSNBC, makes a tremendous amount of money. So much more money from war than it does from media. That media is a good marketing spend for these corporations. Now that's part of it. That they themselves want the same exact thing as the rest of corporations do for corporate rule: lower tax cuts, deregulation, so they can merge, etc. But the second part of it is arguably even more important. So where does all that money in politics go? So, for example, in 2022, it's just a midterm election. No presidential.
I don't think he's completely wrong here. You guys seen that? A lot of you guys have probably seen it. The local news all saying the same. I don't know why Joe Rogan is the first thing that comes up. But yeah.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility.
The news site Deadspin recently produced a mashup video that went viral and unsettled many media and sowing distrust with warnings like this. What's worse, if you actually watch Sinclair's programming, you'll see they violate almost everything they warn against.
So far, no hearings on the big uranium deal.
That's right. That's a Sinclair host promoting the debunked conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton gave away 20% of America's uranium to Russia.
That could involve kickbacks to the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, and here's
Fire. Do you think they were paid by Russia too?
Overspending. A ridiculous $17 billion are spent, okay, on the election cycle. Where does the $17 billion go? Almost all of it goes into corporate media. Mainstream media, television, newspapers, radio. They're buying ads like nuts. So we have a reporter at TYT, David Schuster. He used to work at MSNBC, Fox News, etc. And David once did a piece about money in politics at a local NBC news station, and his editor or GM spiked the story. And David goes into his office and asks him, so why? The story is true. It's a huge part of politics. If we're going to report on this issue, we got to tell you what's actually happening. So he says, David, come here. He puts his arm around his shoulders, takes him to the big newsroom, and he goes, you see all this? Money in politics paid for that.
That's really fascinating. So big corporations are giving money to politicians through different channels, and then the politicians are spending that money on mainstream media. And so there's a vicious cycle where it's in the interest of the mainstream media not to criticize the very corporations that are feeding that cycle. So it's not actually direct. It's not like corporations are, because I was thinking one of the ways is direct advertisement. Like pharmaceuticals obviously advertise a lot on mainstream media, but there's also indirect, which is like giving the politicians money or super PACs, and the super PACs and spend money on the.
That's why mainstream media never talks about the number one factor in politics, which is money. Like we all know.
Are you kidding me?
Now as we talked about earlier, we see it with our own eyes. Open auction, any country, any company, anybody that has money, the politicians will now literally say, "I am now working for this guy," as Trump says, because he gave me a strong endorsement, which means a lot of money, right? And the press never covers it, almost never, right? So you're telling me you're doing an article on an infrastructure bill or Build Back Better, et cetera, and you're not going to mention the enormous amount of money that every lobbyist spent on that bill? That's absurd. That's absurd. That's 98% of the ballgame. And the reason they hide the ball is because they don't want you to know this whole thing is based on the money that they are receiving. And by the way, that one more thing about that, Lex, it's that the ads themselves, actually, they work. And they work pretty well. But that's not the main reason you spend money on ads. You spend the money on ads to get friendly coverage from the content, from the free media that you're getting from that same outlet. And so since every newspaper and every news television station and network knows that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are their top clients, they're going to get billions of dollars from them. They never really criticize the Republican and Democratic Party. On the other hand, if you're an outsider, they'll rip your face off.
That's also really interesting. So if you're an advertiser, if you're a big pharma and you're advertising,
just like the chick when he tried to run for president, even though he's not eligible.
The hosts are too afraid. Not like explicitly, just even implicitly. They're self-censoring. They're not going to have any guests that are like controversial anti-big pharma, or they're not going to make any jokes about big pharma. They're not going to make, and that continues and expands. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Sometimes it's super direct. When I was a host on MSNBC, I had a company that I was criticizing in my script, and management looked at it. And by the way, I used to go off prompter a lot, and it drove them crazy. Not because I wasn't good at it. I think my ratings went up whenever I went off prompter, but because they couldn't pre-approve the script.
Are you paid by the
and what do they want to pre-approve? Hey, are you going to?
No, I'm only paid by, I've said this 100 times, guys. I am only paid by APAC and by Netanyahu and by the Cato Institute. The Cato Institute pays me to promote capitalism, and the other in Israel pays me to promote, well, Israel. God fucking damn it. I'm so fucked. No. I don't know why there's no coal anywhere. I really need torches. You want to like the Friedman interview with Trump yet? But I did, yeah. God damn it. I watched about a minute of it because Donald said something untrue about Kamala, and Lex agreed with him about the true. What was it specifically? Yeah, he said, well, Lex didn't offer much pushback to anything Trump said, as usual.
Criticize one of our sponsors, one of our advertisers, etc. So we had a giant fight over it, and the compromise was I moved them lower in the script, but kept them in the story, right? So sometimes it's super direct like that, but way more often it's implicit, it's indirect. You don't have to say it, right? So I give you a spectacular example of it so that you get a sense of how it works implicitly.
I don't know immediately. Yeah, I did. I uploaded my reaction to it. I edited like 8 videos today. I've been on a relatively good streak recently. So, who the fuck unsubbed? I did 8 hours of editing and one of y'all fuckers unsubbed, dude. Dude, really? Really, dude? Dude, bruh. What the fuck? Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Golden Snakey.
I'm a defense contractor. They own MSNBC at the time of the Iraq War. They fired everyone who was against the Iraq War on air. So Phil Donahue, Jesse Ventura, Ashley Banfield. But Ashley Banfield, they did something different with, okay? She was a rising star at the time. She goes and gives a speech in Kansas, not really even having a policy position, but just talking about the actual cost of this Iraq war and how we should be really careful. They hate that. So they take their rising star and they take her off air. Okay. And she goes, okay, good. Let me out of my contract. It's okay. I'll go, because she was such a star at that time. She could have easily gotten somewhere else. And they go, no, we're not going to let you out of your contract. Why not? You're going to pay me to do nothing? Yeah. Not only that, we're moving your office. Where are you moving it to? They literally moved it into a closet. Okay. And they made sure that everybody in the building saw her getting taken off the air and moved into a closet. The closet is the memo, right? That's the memo to the whole building. You better shut up and do as you're told. Okay. So that way I don't have to tell you and get myself in trouble. It's super obvious. There are guardrails here, and you are not allowed to go beyond acceptable thought. And acceptable thought is our sponsors are great, politicians are great, the powerful are great.
So how do we begin to fix that? And what exactly are we fixing? Is it the influence of the lobbyists, the influence of, like, it feels like there's companies have found different ways to achieve influence, right? So how do we get money out of politics?
Dude, I don't understand how there's no coal anywhere. I can't put torches down because I literally have not found any coal. I found diamonds, but no coal.
So it's very difficult, but doable, and we will do it. So, but in order to do it, the populist left and the populist right have to unite. Because, and by the way, that is why we have the culture wars.
Do we? The populist right is a little. They got some interesting ideas, you know, about like race and about like transgender people and gay people, you know, and about like the COVID vaccine. What benefits did Israel give to America? Searched for a while, but couldn't find it in America. Couldn't find any American. Didn't really have enemies in the Middle East pre-Nakba. Well, we weren't really funding Israel that much until at least the 6-Day War anyway. I mean, they give us military intelligence. They give us, oh my God, they allow us to have military infrastructure in proximity to the Middle East, you know, in proximity to Syria. And holy shit, why there's so many in proximity to Syria. And I guess Egypt and Jordan are mostly aligned with us by now. But I don't know, are there enemy states in Middle East? Tim Waltz is a great man. True based. Welcome to the stream, Waltz.
That's why you're voting for Trump.
No chance. Okay, so we can get into that in a minute. So the culture wars are meant to divide us. If we get united, we have enough leverage and power to be able to do it. But you can't do it through a normal bill, because if you do it in a bill, the whole point of capturing the Supreme Court was to make sure that they could kill any piece of legislation that would protect the American people.
You're saying the Supreme Court is also captured by this?
Oh, 100%. So, okay, so let me explain. Again, people, for the uninitiated, they think, oh, that sounds conspiratorial. Well, in this case, that's actually somewhat true, because people now know about this. It's the Powell memo, right? The most infamous political memo in history. Lewis Powell writes a memo for the Chamber of Commerce in 1971. That's basically a blueprint for how the Chamber of Commerce can take over the government. And Lewis Powell explains one of the most important things you have to do is take over the media. But even more important than that is taking over the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court is the ultimate arbiter of what is allowed and not allowed. And he says, we need, quote, activist judges to help business interests on the court. Okay. And then Nixon reads the memo and goes, well, that sounds like a really good idea. How about I put you on the Supreme Court? And he puts Lewis Powell, the guy.
I like Lex, but is he just another Dave Rubin in the making?
Who wrote the memo?
I wouldn't say that, no. Just make charcoal, but that's annoying. I don't wanna.
On the Supreme Court, where he's the deciding vote in Bellotti and,
I have to now.
Buckley. So Bellotti's, those two decisions are 76 and 78. And what they say is, yeah, I read the Constitution, and it says that money is speech. No, it isn't. And no, it didn't. That's not even
That's exactly what they said. I can't believe they wrote that.
And they said,
wow.
okay, corporations, they're human beings. No, they're not. That's preposterous.
Yeah, there's definitely no actual genuine First Amendment concerns there.
As human beings and citizens do. And money is speech, and speech is an inalienable right. So corporations can spend unlimited money in politics. And there goes our democracy. Gone. Okay. So Citizens United just shot a dead horse with a Gatling gun and made it worse and put it on steroids. But it was already dead in 78. So that's why every chart you see for the rest of your life, you'll see this. Every chart about the American economy starts to diverge in 1978. So until 38 to 78, we have golden 40 years
78,
of economic
usually
prosperity.
71.
We create the greatest middle class the world has ever seen. And our productivity is sky high, but our wages match our productivity. After 78,
Are you the First Amendment? I am the First Amendment. Isn't there literally that that website? What happened? It's fucking North Carolina in 1970. What I think there's this website, which this graph is not good. They use like two different deflators, and like this gap does not really exist. Real wages, trade policies. This I don't know enough about this one. Some of these are misleading, but yeah.
productivity is still sky high, best in the world. Okay, sometimes people, oh, the American worker's lazy. Not remotely true. We work our ass off, okay? But wages flatline. And they've been flatlining for about 50 years straight. And the reason is because the Supreme Court made bribery legal.
The reason is because you're using CPI and not adjusting for the increased earnings of workers that aren't wage compensation, increased like healthcare benefits and 401k contributions, and you're not adjusting for decreases in household size if you're measuring household income. The average size of households have decreased. That's the reason.
So in order to get past the Supreme Court, you only have one choice. That's an amendment. And so you have to get an amendment. Amendments are very difficult. But so, for example, you need 2/3 of Congress to even propose them.
I don't know why.
So, well, why would Congress propose an amendment that would take away their own power, right? Because almost everybody in Congress got there through corruption. Their main talent is, I can kiss corporate ass better than you can, right? So they take the most amount of the person with more money in Congress wins 95% of the time, right? But the good news is the founding fathers were geniuses, and they put in a second outlet. They said, or 2/3 of the states can call for a convention where you can propose an amendment. And after an amendment is proposed, then 3/4 of the states have to ratify it. So that's what makes it so difficult, because getting 3/4 of the states, there's so many red states, so many blue states, getting 3/4 of the states to agree is near impossible. But there is one issue that the whole country
Taiwan
agrees
a country?
93.
I mean, that's obviously, we don't have a very good definition of country. I mean, like, I would say, I think we should protect Taiwan's functional independence. I don't really care whether or not it's a country, but like, yeah. Actually, no, sorry, wait. I'm paid by the Chinese to say it's not a country. Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's functionally an independent country, and we should probably protect its independence. Yeah.
Percent of Americans believe that politicians serve their donors and not their voters. So this is the one thing we can unite on. If we unite on this, we push our states to call for a convention. We all go to the convention together. We bring democracy alive, and we propose amendments to the Constitution. And when the best amendment gets 3/4 of the states to ratify, you go above the Supreme Court and you solve the whole thing.
So if 93% of people want this, why hasn't it happened yet? I mean, the obvious answer is there's corporate control of the media and the politicians, but it seems like our current system and the megaphone that the president has, we should be able to kind of unite the populace left and right.
Taiwan is where it's Eastern
why
China.
hasn't a person like Trump, who's a billionaire, or on the left, a rich businessman, run just on this and win?
Well, eventually they will, right? And so that's why I actually have a lot of hope, even though things seem super
That's
dark
why
right
he
now.
ran for president.
And that's why I was
so
for Bernie.
close.
So I can come
Can't
back
believe
to
they
that. But
robbed it.
why hasn't Trump done it?
Bernie,
It's easy.
of course.
He's like, what am I, a sucker? The guy gives me money. I do what the guy wants. Why would I get rid of that? That's how I got into power. And so that's how I'm doing it now. I go to Miriam Adelson and say, give me $100 million and I'll let Israel annex the West Bank, right? So I'll go to the oil companies and give me $1 billion and I'll give you tax subsidies. I'll let you drill. I'll take away regulation. Why would I stop that?
You think he likes money more than he likes being popular? Because there's a big part of him as a populist in the sense that like he loves being admired by large masses of people.
Yeah. So, and you're absolutely right, but that is the fault of MAGA. And so MAGA, you're screwing populists in a way that is infuriating, okay? And smart libertarians like Dave Smith have figured this out, and that's why he's just as mad at Trump as I am.
Libertarians?
And it's because he took a populist movement and he redirected it for his own personal
Trump
gain.
supporters,
MAGA,
I
figure it
guess.
out. Come on, right? And so if you say, oh, you think Democrats have figured out that these politics... No, they largely haven't figured it out either, and I think there's blue MAGA, and I could talk about that as well. But for those of us on the populist left, yeah, we're not enamored by politicians. And for example, when Bernie does the wrong thing, we call him out. Well, Bernie's not my goddamn uncle. I don't like him for some personality reason. It's not a cult of personality. You do the right thing, I love you for. You do the wrong thing, I'm gonna kick your ass for it, right? So, but Donald Trump does this massive, ridiculous corruption over and over again, and MAGA's like, I'm here for it, love it. As long as you're doing the corruption, I'm okay with it.
What does Trump say about getting money out of politics? Does he?
He says nothing about it. Go ahead, MAGA. Why haven't you held him to account? Like, so when Bernie it helped Biden take out $15 minimum wage from this,
I saw, by the way, didn't they just reopen that the Democrats, the evil Democrats, Trump 2016 Egypt payment? House Democrats after Trump illegally accepted $10 million from Egypt. I think they just started looking back into this. Early 2019, Mueller was preparing to deliver its report on Russian interference. When he closed the office, his team obtained records from Egyptian banking officials. The records revealed a cash withdrawal of nearly $10 million. And I feel like I heard something. Okay. An amount was identical to what the intelligence indicated from an account tied to the Egyptian General Intelligence Service, the Post reported. The withdrawal occurred in January 2017, 5 days before Trump took office. Months before the handoff, the Post investigation found prosecutors and FBI agents were blocked by top Justice Department officials from obtaining those records. The case ground to a halt by the fall of 2019 as Trump's then Attorney General, William P. Barr, raised doubts about whether there was sufficient evidence to continue to probe. Letter Democrats released Tuesday asked Trump to name the source of any funds he used to repay himself for that forgiven loan, if he did, and to name any individual or entities involved in funding arrangements or transferring money for the original loan to his campaign for its or repayment. Yeah.
Senate bill on the first bill that was introduced in the Biden administration. We went nuts. We did a petition. We sent in videos to Bernie, our audience going, don't kill it, Bernie. Don't kill it. And so Bernie then reintroduced it as an amendment. It got voted down, but he did the right thing, right? That is us holding our top leader accountable and saying, you better get back on track, okay? Because we're not here for you and your personal self-aggrandizement. We're here for policy, right? And if MAGA was actually here for policy, they would absolutely level Trump on the fact that remember when he ran on Drain the Swamp? That's why he won in 2016, right? I predicted on ABC right after the DNC, and Hillary Clinton was up 10, 12 points, whatever she was, and I said Trump would win, okay? And the whole
Bro, I know I said Bedrock is bad, but what is this? What is this? What am I looking at? What is this Minecraft? What is the fuck? What?
Sorry, it's just the only one my computer can run,
That's gross. That's gross. I don't like it. Okay. Well.
By the way, I fixed my fucking Discord, so now I can actually hear people join the channel, and they don't have to say hello 20 times while I don't hear them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But Cenk, huh? Cenk, good information guy.
Yeah.
Dude, he's such look, I have more respect for him than I have for people like Hassan, but he's such a reductionist. Holy shit.
Yeah, do you know any? Have you
your entire presence on I'm the money and politics guy, and then get basic facts wrong? It's crazy. It's
I know.
He's making Matt Wall, to me at least, he's making claims in this interview that are on the level of Matt Wall saying millions of children are trans.
I need to do eventually at some point. I'll do a whole reading of if not the actual Citizens United decision, then other essays arguing for it, because I think a lot of people misrepresent it, and I want to have a better understanding of it. So
yeah, definitely TYT. I mean, but again, it's really I don't know, but look up TYT 2014 U.S. oligarchy. Look it up.
Oh.
Yeah. They have this video, and it's just dog shit. They just uncritically say, "Oh yes,
are we still a
democracy? Of course, it's oligarchy. The study proved. The study said so. It's true." It's
democracy? One of the guys who actually asked that question is me, because I keep.
He's like, "Look at the graphs, guys."
Oh, of course he did.
Terrible. I don't know if did David Pakman ever report on it? That would break my heart. Give me a second. David Pakman, U.S. oligarchy 2014.
Oh no! 10 years ago.
An oligarchy. That's
Welcome to the David
Pakman
God, Show.
Study. U.S. is the oligarchy. No.
In the system of government,
David,
in the law.
What are you doing?
An oligarchy is when a small group of people have control of a country, organization,
is
or
he
institution.
uncritically saying
yes,
it definitely is a bajillion gorillion oligarchy?
That he gave. People are just up in arms. The National Speakers Bureau
see.
actually is having Lewis maybe be the keynote speaker. They were
Let
so
me
impressed with
turn
the
on
wedding
the
speech that Lewis gave. We'll hear about all that
volume
later. I want to talk about a new study, which, if we interpret it colloquially, if we interpret it in layman's terms, confirms that the United States is not a democracy, but rather an oligarchy. This is a really interesting study from, this is going to appear in the journal Perspectives on Politics in the fall. And it finds, essentially, it doesn't use these terms, I'm using these terms, that the U.S. is not a democracy, but instead an oligarchy. And what are these terms? What do these terms mean? A democracy would be a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. In other words, the will of the people. The will of the people is reflected in the system that, in the system of government, in the laws. An oligarchy is when a small group of people have control of a country,
David, you're retarded.
Institution.
Sorry, you are.
That's it. It was 10 years ago, man. 10 years ago. Okay. It's got only 8.5K views. So.
Oh my god, am I echoing? I think I am.
You were a little, but it wasn't that bad for me. It was probably worse for them, actually.
Yeah,
but.
well, no, but terrible, horrible. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like how it breaks my mind. It's just you literally just need to be able to read a study. You just need to, regression. Oh, I hear regression. I think, R squared and statistical significance. Statistical significance is not that hard to get. Oh, but the R squared is 0.07. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And everyone uncritically reports on it. Terrible. I don't know, but Cenk makes ludicrous claims in this interview. He says like 98% of I think we talked about it in DMs, right? He said 98% of politicians decide based on like
Well, he
lobbying.
didn't
You're
even.
insane.
I have no clue what he's even sorting for that or sourcing for that. Because he also mentioned like, oh, 95% of the time the most well fit funded candidate wins. But he also keeps saying that that thing that like 98% of what politicians do is like sucking up to donors, and I don't even know what he's sourcing for that.
Yeah, he's making his stuff up. He's saying like, oh, we predicted based on stuff, based on this, and we're right most of the time. Definitely, you're not. Like the TYT makes a lot of mistakes. I mean, you just need to look at Cenk predicting stuff to know that he doesn't have a good record. And he does this thing where it's like he's gonna predict different things at different times, and then like whenever each one of the two possible outcomes happens, he's like, "Oh, you see, I predicted it." It's like okay, it's like Austrians and like there's gonna be a recession. Well, it's not like Austrians. Austrians, what they do is they always say there's gonna be a recession, and once there is a recession, they predict
They
it.
say they predict, yeah. They
So I
predict
don't know.
200
I don't
out
know.
of the last
But I
10
respect
recessions.
Cenk for being like able to say I'm a capitalist. I respect progressives who can say that. Because
Yeah.
then it shows me that not all their thinking is like, oh, left equals good. I think a lot of progressives just think left equals good. And so when they'll have to find a way either to just, support socialism and whatever progressive stuff. So, homelessness, we have more vacant apartments than homeless people or whatever. And then just
Oh,
like
I
whatever
love that
retarded talking.
claim.
Yes. Whatever retarded talking point, just if it sounds progressive, they'll believe. But Cenk seems more like just a reductionist on the issue that like money in politics, and it's a populist cause and whatever, blah blah blah. But some people will be like, some people it's more sophisticated. They'll be like, left equals good, but like socialism is bad. So I have to find a way to call myself socialist that isn't like actual socialist. And I'm calling out some people in my mind here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You watched the Trump interview, right? Did you watch the scalping debate? Did you watch it?
Nope. I gotta do
Don't
that at
watch
some
it. Don't
point.
do not. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. But bro, the Destiny graphs. Fuck me. I
Yeah,
swear
that
to
was.
God, someone showed it to me. I saw it live. Someone DM'd me and told me like, bro, open stream. You're gonna kill yourself. And I saw it. I was like screaming in like DMs. I was like screaming all caps, retard. How can you say this? Even like subtle stuff. He's saying like, oh, government like subsidizes demand, so it moves up. No, it doesn't move up. It moves to the right. There's a difference. It moves. You can say it moves up if it's like by a constant amount of money, right? But it's theoretically you should just say it moves to the right because the quantity increases. That's the relevant part when it's you subsidize demand. It was different. It was like it wasn't subsidized per consumer, like per a specific amount. He was talking about like some stuff where it doesn't make sense to say up. If you're giving each consumer like $10 like a discount, then yeah, that's like moving up. But whatever, you know that. But
He did get.
God,
I'm
what
pretty sure he
terrible
did actually do the I don't know. Like in my macro class, they were really strict that like if you say like the price goes up, you can't say demand decreases. You have to say the quantity demanded decreased because the whole demand curve doesn't shift. It's just that the quantity demanded shifts, or it doesn't shift. The quantity demanded moves. He did at least do that.
I had my micro exam today. Well, it was just an econ one. It was micro and macro. It was fun. I think I got everything right. I think I got it right. Like I don't know. I need to see what people. Wait, did anyone answer me in chat? No, no one answered me. But yeah, I think I got everything.
Yeah, because you're a nerd.
Yeah. I am a nerd. I'm a nerd. I swear to God, I just like this entire week I was like, just solving, either macro ISLM. Like all of macro was just the ISLM model. So that wasn't bad. But wait, do you know enough about the ISLM stuff, shenanigans?
It wasn't taught on my macro class, but I did watch a Paul Krugman video on it. Quite frankly, all I remember is that one line has the zero lower bound. But I don't remember much else.
Are you talking about like the IS? What do you mean zero lower bound?
The zero, doesn't one of them
Are you talking about
flatten
the
out?
lendings or the investment savings?
I don't even remember which one it was in. But one
There
of
are
them, I
like
thought
three
one of them
graphs.
leveled
There are
out
like three
at
graphs. One of
zero.
them is like the lending says, the supply of money over price. The other one is the ISLM, the intersection of the ISLM and LM curve, and the other one is, aggregate supply and aggregate demand.
Let me see what graph. Oh, it might be a different graph.
Show me the graph. I'm looking at your stream. Yeah,
Whatever
so
this graph
this makes
is.
sense. This graph makes sense. Okay, this is.
We're taking into account the fact that
Lower bound. Oh, okay, wait.
adjustments,
So
but think
can
of
you
the
zoom in on the
central
graph?
bank is
Okay, I
setting the
can't read. It's
monetary
too small.
base. What
I don't even. Oh, why the fuck is Minecraft still?
Is this like official version? Is this like, or is it like a mod or what is this?
I don't know. I don't
the
remember.
Fed can go out there and
Are you on your
buy and,
laptop or what is
liquidate
this?
that because
Oh, wait, you mean my Minecraft? This is just, I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. This is just, this is what my computer can run.
Terrible.
It's just, I just turn the graphics
Then
down a bit. Yeah.
Fucking solve Sudoku or something. Don't. No.
I'll never do that fucking nerd shit.
Whatever. Okay, let me watch. Let me zoom in. Oh, you just switched.
Yeah, hold on. I feel like whatever this one is, it says LM. It says LM flattening
Yeah,
at
the
the zero
LM.
level.
Yeah. No, and then once Y, if it's below the full employment. But here's the thing, I'm pretty sure this is true, that if you have like, let's say we're in equilibrium and it's full employment, and now the government spends more, right? So we're not gonna have an output above full employment. What we're gonna have is inflation, right?
Yeah.
It's not the case the other way around because of downward nominal price rigidity. But right? But yeah, so we're gonna have inflation, and so the output will stay the same. All that will happen is the price level increases. But also, I'm pretty sure the interest rate is higher. I'm pretty sure the interest rate is still higher.
Yeah, because that isn't that what causes crowding out? Isn't crowding out that
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
sure. So if the government spends more in full employment, output is not going to increase, but the interest rate and price level will increase, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, I got it right.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it right. So yeah.
Yeah, I paid a lot more attention to my macro class than my micro class because I ended up taking macro first before micro. And during my micro class,
micro is more fun, I think. I think macro is easier. Micro is more
easier, yeah.
interesting. It's more.
You really think
Also,
micro is more interesting?
Yeah, I think so. I think the trade stuff and consumer welfare and
that's true, I guess. I do like the trade stuff, but yeah,
No, ideologically,
October
it's both
7th
the
happened
trade
during
side.
my micro class, and I just debated
Let's go.
people about Israel every single class period.
Let's go. Epic.
Yeah,
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It was awesome, dude.
I did a lot of exams to practice for this exam that I had today, and some questions were funny. Some of them were like, one question was particularly funny. They were like, there's a country called Macro America. It's supposed to be like America, but macro. And then it's like the president, his name is Gil Caneston. It's supposed to be like Bill Clinton, but like Keynes. So, and then it's like, but he was in a sex scandal. It's like, what? The question is very elaborate. You can tell that more important to them was to make a funny analogy than like actual question. Also, why is the rendering so bad in this game? Why is the rendering like it looks like you're drunk? I don't get it.
It's I don't know what to tell you. I don't get paid by Russia. I can't afford a better. I can't afford.
That's right.
Better
You can get
computer.
paid by Israel.
Well, they don't send me enough, but yeah. Cato
enough,
doesn't.
right? Yeah. That's right.
Like Cato or something on Citizens United.
Wait, Cato is related, or what does the ACLU say?
Well, the ACLU is probably they're Libtard.
They are libtarded, but
Citizens United misunderstood. Oh, is it pretty short? The case against constitutional amendment seeking to overturn Citizens United.
let's go.
Oh, they have a whole ass PDF. 20 pages.
Nice. Show me TYT having anything like this. Never.
I haven't seen one reading stream from Cenk.
But yeah, I don't know enough about Citizens United. Like I know the basics. But did you see the Sam Cedar talking to a caller? And the caller is like, oh, okay, well maybe you're against like, the PAC funding the documentary, but surely you're okay if like they, advertise the documentary, right? That'd be fine, you think. And you're like, yeah, I'd be fine with advertising the documentary. Yo, that's so insane to say. That's so insane to say. You have to know nothing. That's crazy. But did the court narrowly decide just on that issue, or did it like decide more broadly, like some more, principled stuff in general that were not like, relevant specifically to the complaint? I don't know enough about that. But like it would be justified to care about Citizens United without knowing the details if like the decision was more broad than like the narrowly advertising on, blah blah blah. Right.
Yeah, but I don't even
But
think
I
it.
don't know.
I'm like super PACs and everything had already existed before Citizens United. Citizens United just like upheld that they could exist, but like it had already existed. It wasn't like it was a huge.
I need to read the
thing for them,
Ballotpedia page on Citizens United.
I should probably
Ballotpedia is genuinely great. From my experience, at least.
Yeah, I think you told me to read about some of the Trump cases from them
Oh,
as
they're
well.
great on the Trump cases. At least on the documents case, they're pretty comprehensive. I don't know how they run their stuff, but they're pretty damn good. From my experience. Why does the gravel look like... I can't. I need to stop looking at this. It's terrible.
What's the
It's
issue,
terrible,
bro?
no? Oh my god. What version is this? Why does the hunger look like that?
It's just 1.18, and I just turned the graphics down. I don't know what you mean, bro.
Really? No, I don't buy
No,
that. Wait,
it's
no. Yeah.
It's a mod pack.
No, but
It's
you have
Minecraft.
ores, right? You have ores. Wait, what is this?
Yeah, there were ores up
You
there.
don't just wait, no, fuck. I need to think.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, this is terrible. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'm playing Minecraft on my... Look, I can share my screen. Look at... Oh, wait, I closed Minecraft. No, I have a good computer. I just feel... I pity you, I guess. But yeah, terrible.
Yeah. This is it's a mod pack. It's like Minecraft PS1 mod pack. It adds some. It doesn't just make the graphics worse. It adds some other shit too. But I don't really know what else it adds.
Do you see that Dick Cheney said he's gonna vote Kamala?
No. Why are there so many mobs? This game sucks.
Did you see the Minecraft trailer?
Of course I did. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait.
You're gonna die, by the way. I'm a god. I'm a god.
Yeah, I will be seeing that shit day one. It looks so good.
I don't get why old people, I'm retarded. Why like adults are like mad at the design. Like it's not for you. It's not.
Yeah,
it's like why do we care at all? But yeah, I don't know. It does give like YouTube Rewind vibes, but it's not for people who are like 20 something to watch. It's not for them. They're not the target audience. For fucking retarded, 12-year-olds to be like, oh my god, it's the funny fat man. He's Steve. That's epic.
Funny Check Black Steve. No way.
Yeah, I don't like Jack Black. He's like not funny to me. I don't get it. He's like
I
random
mean, I feel
gremlin.
like I've only ever seen him play like the dumb, like stupid, funny guy role. Like he was
Yeah,
Bowser
it's
in the
like
fucking Mario movie, and he
he
was.
sings a thing, and it's like, oh, you're the fat gremlin guy who says like fucking. It's epic, I guess. But he's not bad. It's just not for me. I don't know. I do not know. Well,
Yeah,
you don't have
there
any
is.
pets, right?
I what?
No pets, right?
No, I've sent you pictures of my cat before.
Oh, right. Epic cat.
Yeah.
Based cat.
Base cat, true. You only
Is
have a
he
cat?
homophobic?
Yeah, he's just.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's a Trump voter. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
My
Total
dog
cat
is genuinely a misogynist. He attacks any
Only
woman
barks at women.
I bring
No,
here.
no. Oh God. Well, I mean that's vacuously true, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever take a logic class, or did you get it? I don't know.
No, I didn't. I was
You
laughing
know
to
what
make you feel
vacuous
better.
truth is?
Not for sure. No.
In logic, if you say, so there are like predicates like, okay, oh my God. Wait, okay, in logic, claims like all dragons are yellow, they're true because dragons don't exist.
This
Okay.
dragon. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what I
Yeah. So
assumed.
if you
Yeah.
say like
I don't bring any
barks at
woman
all
over,
the
so
girls
it's.
that get into my room, that's like that's vacuously true. Because yeah, you got on.
Yeah, that's what I
You
assumed.
got on
Yeah.
there, buddy.
I'll have you know.
Yeah.
I'll have you know. Most of my friends are women. Okay.
Oh my. Yeah, all of your friends are women. That's also vacuously true.
God damn it.
You got double owned. You walked right into it. Yeah. That's why you should learn logic to own people epically, in a way that only you'll get. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get. You should find a way to get paid by Israel. Okay. Get the DOJ to write about you.
There's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to get paid by Russia. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I
they're
don't
paying
want like
them.
APAC stuff. That's like gay. I want like the government of Israel to pay me. Yeah, that's what you
That's
should. Well, I get paid by the government of Israel.
But
You.
Russia was paying Tim Pool like $100,000 per episode. And it got like fucking 700
No, I
views,
think
bro.
10 million a year, no? Or something. So, or,
Well, like they divided it up between the commentators. So I think Tim
yeah,
Pool was
that's
getting
what I wanted to say. I don't think they-
$100,000 per like episode. Oh, Tim Pool sets the record straight on Ben Shapiro, and I think Benny Johnson was getting like $400,000 a month for 4 weekly videos.
Oh my God, Ben Shapiro is running defense for Tim Pool.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
Well, didn't you know? As
Pathetic.
the indictment makes clear, they're the victims of this scheme.
Yeah. Even if they're the victims, they're just useful retards.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
so
like.
annoying.
Best case scenario, they are so retarded that Russia was willing to pay them.
Bro, if a Democrat did this,
I know,
bro. Oh my God, if a Democrat did this, it's so terrible. I fucking hate Shapiro. I don't know how I ever had a modicum of respect for that hack. Oh my God. And he just lies. He brazenly lies. The
Yeah.
facts guy. It's so pathetic. I'm getting mad.
He's just grading Trump on a curve, bro.
They're terrible. Terrible guy. Terrible guy. Horrible. I'd own him at a debate, okay?
I think the indictment like lays out like a fake investor contacted like all the
Igor
commentators.
something?
Yeah, Edward Gregorian or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Gregorian.
Yeah, and they could like none of them did like any research except for I think it was commentator 2, who I think is Benny Johnson if I remember correctly. He asked to see like literally anything on him. He was like just send like a profile or like a news article
And
or
then they
like
write
anything.
a summary that was obviously fake, and it's
Yeah,
like,
they wrote like an obviously fake ass summary, and he was just like, okay.
And then they took issue not with the fact that it's a fake gay summary. I think they took issue with like, oh, we said social justice. I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, they did. Yep. It said social justice. What the fuck?
Did they take
Slenderman.
issue with the fact that it was obviously like fake?
Yeah, they don't care now.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Well, but you should expect from people the standards they're being held to, and they don't have any standards. Their audience doesn't care, so they shouldn't care.
Yeah.
I respect it. Okay.
I just think I think it's really funny. I think I sent you one of the things I found funny. I found funny, but there was also like a time where that one guy showed up an hour early to a meeting because he was using Moscow time, and he was like, when he was like,
Oh, right, and
why
then
is someone
he's
here?
like,
He
and
got
then
to
wasn't
Google.
it an email or was it a meeting or an email?
He well, it was a Zoom meeting, so he emailed them like, hey, let's meet at 5 p.m. and then at 3:58 p.m. but at 4:58 p.m. Moscow time. He emailed people
And then
like,
he's
I'm
like,
here.
oh, my bad, sorry guys.
Then he googled time in Paris after he already emailed them telling them to get in the meeting. Like, I also think it's really funny they were all using Discord for
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
for this stuff. Yeah.
But
And
what
also,
is this study in general, chat?
I don't know. They're arguing about immigration. I haven't paid attention to the last few messages.
Anyone there anti-immigrant?
Yeah. Localist is, and
Yeah.
Shengyang is a little bit. Localist is just dumb though. But
Shengyang?
Shengyang Gang or whatever his name is. Yeah,
Oh,
Shengyang Gang.
Let's see.
He's a relatively known Twitch politics chatter.
Is he anti-immigrant? Are people defending the idea that immigrants commit more crime?
Well, not that specifically, but they're defending like, oh, it's a dumb way to look at it because the crime rate in America is kept up by places like Detroit, and sometimes they adjust in low socioeconomic status immigrants commit more crime than high socioeconomic status Native Americans.
So we need the claim to be, we need the facts to be, all immigrants commit less crime than all types of U.S. citizens.
Yeah, I don't really get what they're trying to argue. But
I mean, it's
they don't
just
even.
very simple.
What's
It's
annoying
like
is that like
immigrants on average commit less crime by the crime rate, and so if you
Yeah.
deport a lot of illegal immigrants or whoever,
yeah, it actually
then your
gets
crime rate will
relatively.
increase. That's the claim. That's why it's relevant. Any other? No one. Yeah, that's just it. Unless you're planning to deport Detroit, I don't see how that's relevant. Like
When will
Which
Biden get
they-
the balls to deport deport Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you were in my chat when I was doing this, yelling at these people. There was like someone who like came into my chat and was like, the real unemployment rate is 42%. The Democrats are lying about the
What was the
Your what?
bajillion percent?
the
What was the
unemployment
bajillion
rate. It's 42%.
Under who? Right now?
Right now, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And the
yeah. Because
Democrats are.
that's it. Let me guess. That's the what's the term? Something population ratio. Like how many percent of
No,
all
he
US
literally the way he got at this number, I don't think he was citing any source. He just got this number from literally taking everyone in America who is unemployed. So that includes children, or sorry, not unemployed,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't
it's
have a
called,
job.
like, the
That includes
employment
children.
ratio.
That includes retirees. That includes
Yeah. That's it. The
Yeah,
employment
well,
ratio.
okay.
That's a
Oh,
retarded.
okay.
Like, yeah, you only cite this metric if you're a retard who doesn't know anything.
Yeah, no, it's wild.
Here, Fred. Let me look.
And
at
then
Fred employment.
he was like, it's so obvious if you live in a real world. But just based on my own personal experience, I live in Detroit and I'm citing personal experience. I was like, motherfucker, I don't mean to discount your life
employment
experience here, but
population
like,
ratio is now 60. So that means
Yeah,
40%
okay.
are not employed. But that's retarded. No one ever, when they say that, no one ever means like the employment population ratio. People obviously are talking about full employment, as
Yeah, I
in
know.
people who can work. It's retarded. Evil.
he was citing his personal experience as a person who lives in Detroit, when Detroit has is way above the national average in unemployment.
Yeah. I don't like
Oh,
that.
by the way,
Yeah.
I need to find. You might actually know people who can do this with. Like the last presidential debate, we had like a panel afterwards, and that did pretty good. So I want to do that again. I need to find people who
I
would be on
probably
it.
can. I probably can. Right, it's September 10th.
Yeah.
I'm not in my home that day.
Nerd.
And then I'm busy the other day. You follow classical music at all?
No, I'm not a nerd. So
I am a nerd. I'm just gonna to the people. I don't know if anyone is. There's this great pianist, Marta Argerich. Argerich. I don't know how to say her last name. She's great. She's great. She's old, but she's great, and I want to see her. She's gonna do a concert. So
yeah,
I bought tickets. I bought the ticket. It's got a great seat. Got a great price. I don't watch her. The only thing is, I don't know if I have a way to get back home after that, but I'll find a way.
yeah. I gotta see. I think I might get. Do you remember that guy debated on like the whether stimulus checks are an aggregate demand shock?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yes, I did. I sent it to you, and you also sent it in the 3 walks. It's the 3 wonk server. That video.
The bald guy who is
It was critically thinking veteran was his name.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
do
Yeah,
stimulus
I'm
checks
sorry. I had
increase?
to stop watching TV. I cannot listen to him for long. He's retarded. He's like negative
Maybe
IQ.
I might have you talked to him before?
No, luckily.
Oh, okay. I
You can
might see if
see
he
I'm
can
like
do it,
I still have functioning brain cells.
and I might see if Sound Soul can do it as well. I know they've talked before too, so.
Oh no. Yeah.
But I gotta find more conservatives.
No, but he's epic. Okay, CTV is epic. I don't like him, but yeah. No, but
Yeah.
I bought great tickets. I was thinking maybe
Oh
I
yeah.
should scalp for the memes. But
She's not is she Israeli or is she?
No. She's Jewish Argentine.
Oh
But
well.
I think she's Jewish. I mean, she's definitely Argentine. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Great pianist.
was she born in Israel?
No, Argentina.
So
Pretty sure.
she's
Let me look up.
she's supporting the Israeli apartheid state, and you're not
That's
even.
right. That's right.
You're not even boycotting her. Can't believe it.
Almost all classical musicians are either like Israel shills or Russia shills. It's crazy. No, swear to God, swear to God. There's a pianist I like, Dennis. Fuck. Give me a second. Denis Matsuev. That's Denis Matsuev. He's a great pianist, but he's called Putin's pianist because he's like like every vocally, in favor. Also, there's this Anna. Fuck, what's her name? No, Lysista, whatever. She's also like pro-war. It's like all these people are evil. She did like a concert in Crimea. It's like people are evil, but they play good music, I guess.
Is
But
Russia
here,
paying a
Marta
bunch of Russia
Argerich.
and Israel must both be paying classical musicians.
Well, I mean, there are Ukrainian pianists. They're good, but there's also a piece I like. But yeah, here, I'm pretty sure she's Jewish. Yeah, Jewish, Argentinian. So she's epic. She was born in Buenos Aires. She's epic. Okay, she's great. She's old. She was born in 1941. Okay, she's 83. And I want to see her. So that's it. I was talking to a friend like a few years ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw her in the Philharmonic," and I was like, "Whoa, she was in Israel," and he was like, "Yeah, it's probably gonna be her last tour," and I was like, "No, I missed her. I'm never gonna see her ever." But now she's doing a tour, and I'm like, "Yes, I'll be able to see her before she dies. Let's go." That's so epic. But yeah, well,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
hope.
What type of music do you like? Were you ever in a concert, or is it all scalped by evil?
Yeah, it's all
Scalpers.
Scott. I don't think I've never been to a. I don't think I've ever been to a full on concert or anything other than like fucking local like live music like festival shit. But
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of like like Midwest like emo,
That's fine.
big
That's bass. That's bass.
yeah, it's
Only
good
cringe music is
not.
country. Okay, that's cringe and
Oh,
gay.
true.
And
That's
pop.
accurate.
Anyone who thinks like Taylor Swift is sophisticated should kill himself. But I don't know. Rap is better. I also kind of like Kanye. Sorry. I said it. I said it. Cancel me. Cancel me.
Dude, those
Oh,
I do. Those videos of him with the net in the bottle of Yahoo and
yeah.
him talking about net and Yahoo. Those are
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
gold,
yeah.
man.
Like but then he was asked about Israel. He's like, I don't care. It's like, what? You were the schizo guy. I'm like,
Well,
I don't know what's up with.
he is actually schizo. He's fucking like bipolar on like his dentist's like
Crazy.
laughing gas supply. So like,
Yeah. So that's why he's. I don't like him as a person. I just like his music. It's great. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
well,
So you have in your notion something about money and politics, right?
I just I linked that I linked the Ballotpedia thing and I linked the Cato Institute Citizens United thing just so I can read them later.
There's this study. Did I send it to you? Is that well, I don't know if I talked to you about it. Wait, let me check our DMs. Give me a second. Message. Dude, you should watch the Egon documentary. What are you doing with your life?
The
Don't you know
Egon
about like
documentary? The what?
Egon Chalokian? Do you
Those are
not
not.
follow the Destiny Schizo arc?
But that's the fucking AI generated dude, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's 8
That-
hours of AI slop. It's crazy. It's
That'd
so
be a
funny.
killer stream.
Wait, when did you send me the Cenk interview? We talked about it, I remember, but or maybe I was talking with the Romanian liberal. It's another guy. No, yeah, we didn't talk about the Cenk interview, it looks like. Well, so you should also check this out, okay? This also breaks people's minds. Give me a second, let me open this study. Money in politics and lobbying. Da, 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 da. Here, this study. Check it out. Okay.
Yeah.
This breaks people's
Corporate
minds.
political activity, public uncertainty, and firm outcomes, and meta-analysis.
Whoa.
Using meta-analytic methods on a U.S. sample of 90 U.S. only sample of 93 studies, working papers, and books, we try to disentangle two mechanisms that explain why corporate political activity is not always beneficial to firms. One, the uncertainty about the public policy process itself, that is, can firms get the policies they want through corporate political activity, and two, the uncertainty about the policy's impact on a firm, that is, whether firms effectively anticipate the implications of policies for their platform. Damn, our results support the idea that these types of uncertainty play an important role in explaining the intermediary dynamics of corporate political activity. We find that in the United States, corporate political activity only weakly impacts public policy, and at best has a direct effect on corporate weak direct effect on corporate outcome.
Yeah.
Does this have a higher
But
R
no,
squared
Cenk
than?
said a bajillion percent of all US's lobbying. So yeah, it's just it's such a crazy claim. Just think of what you're saying. You're saying just if you know what the money is, you'll 98% of the time, 98. That means 19 times out of 20. That's crazy. You're crazy. Oh wait, no. It means 49 times out of 50.
Yeah, it'd be yeah.
I just don't. I don't like it. So yeah.
All right.
Well, that's it. I just check
anything
the study out.
else?
Let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, well, let me see if I mean, some articles are here and there about like how lobbying is not as fast as people think it is. For example, people think the prison population, I'm sorry, the private prisons are like, spending a bajillion, gazillion dollars on lobbying. It's like a very tiny amount, or like firms spend more on advertising than lobbying because advertising works better. It's just like I don't know. Anyone who's like money in politics, so it destroys everything. Oh, I'm a chink and I'm fat and I'm based and I'm people should vote for me. Right? Anyone who's like that.
Well, clearly there's money in politics because they took Cenk
Oh.
off the ballot, bro. Didn't you
That's
know?
right. The Jews, yeah. Well, I don't know. I just like studies that make me evil, you know? I'm on the side of corporations, I'm on the side of the rich, I'm on the side of capitalism. I'm
I
just
want to do that for
evil, and
Citizens
the
United.
evidence supports evil.
I want to be evil. I want to be Citizens
Exactly,
United,
exactly.
strongest warrior.
Yeah, I am evil, and the evidence supports evil. So evil is good. Evil is true. That's my political position. But yeah, well, I'm not gonna steal any more of your time. Okay, precious time. Talk to you later, buddy.
My
Hey,
fucking house.
Delete Minecraft. Yeah, delete Minecraft. Yeah.
All right,
Well, no,
see you later.
don't delete Minecraft. Get a better version. Okay, talk to you later.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh no, I can't get my house. No, I'm not safe anymore. God damn it. Why would Israel do this?
Kind of laughed
All
out
right,
loud.
we'll probably only watch. I don't know. I spent like fucking 8 hours editing today, so okay, I've already had a full work day. We'll probably only watch to this part, so it's like 30 more minutes. But
I love
1.5
this crazy
speed.
guy. I said he's a populist who seems to hate the establishment in a populist time, and drain the swamp is a great slogan. And I knew he would win when he was in a Republican debate, and he said, "I paid all these guys before. I paid them, and they did whatever I wanted." And I was like, that's so true, right? And people will love that, and especially Republican voters will love that. I actually have a lot of respect for Republican voters because they actually genuinely hate corruption.
So what would an amendment look like that helps prevent money being an influence in politics?
So I started a group called Wolfpack,
Nice
and
name.
thank you, wolf-pack.com. And the reason why I named it Wolfpack is because everyone in Washington I knew would hate that name. It's a populist name, and everybody in Washington snickers like, no, you're supposed to name it Americans for America and just trick people, etc. No. Wolfpack means we're coming for you, okay? We're not coming for you in a weirdo, physical, or violent way. We're coming for you in a democratic way, okay? So we're going to go to those state houses. We're going to get them to propose a convention. And we did it in 5 states, but then the Democratic Party started beating us back. We'll get to that. And so we are going to overturn your apple cart, and we're going to put the American people back in charge. So what does the amendment say? Number one, a lot of people will have different opinions on what it should say, and that's what you sort out in a convention. So for example, one of the things that conservatives can propose, which makes sense, is term limits. Because the reason why these super old politicians are in charge is because they provide a return on investment. So if you give to Biden, Pelosi, or McConnell, they're going to deliver for you. They love that return on investment. They don't want to risk it on a new guy. The new guy might have principles, ew, or might want to actually do a little bit for his voters, boo. Whereas these old, and every corrupt system has these old guys hanging around that help maintain power, etc. So, my particular proposal in the amendments would be a couple of things. One is end private financing of elections. So if you're a business person, you're a capitalist, you know this with absolute certainty.
Where do you draw the line with that? Do you draw the line with that at super PACs? Can I make a documentary about climate change? Is that private financing of an election because that's a political issue? What is that? Where do we draw the line with that? This is the whole issue with these with cases like Citizens United. You're already limited on how much you can contribute directly to campaigns. The whole issue is that in Cenk's world, they get around that completely by via PACs and super PACs.
If somebody signs your check, that's the person you work for, right? So if private interests are funding politicians, the politicians will serve private interests. And then you're going to get into a fight like Elon did in New Jersey, where the car dealerships and Tesla are getting into an auction. Can I hear 100,000? No, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, right? And now you got to go bribe the government official. That's called a campaign contribution. And this is a terrible system, right? And the private financing, go to complete public financing of elections. That's when the conservatives, because they've been propagandized by corporate media. Yes, mainstream media got into your head too, and right-wing media got into your head too. And right-wing media also financed by a lot of this corrupt interest. And so they tell you, oh, you don't want to publicly finance? Oh my God, you'd be spending like $1 billion on politicians. Brother, they're spending trillions of dollars of your money because they're financed by the guys that they're giving all of your money to.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to say they're spending trillions of dollars on like election stuff. Okay. It's like, I think like the 2016 presidential election was like the most expensive election ever run, and that was still like, I think it was barely over $1 billion in total. So,
So can you educate me? Does that prevent something like Citizen United? So like super PACs are all gone in this case. So
gone.
So indirect funding is also
indirect funding's gone. Direct funding's gone. You have to set up some thresholds. Not everybody can just get money to run. You have to prove that you have some sort of popular support. So signature gathering. You would still allow for small money donations, like up to $100, something along those lines. That's
not 5,000 or whatever it is now.
Yeah, I think 5,000 is too high, but those are fine debates. Yeah, but you basically want to create an incentive. Everything is about incentives and disincentives. Again, capitalists realize this better than anyone else, right? So you want to set up an incentive to serve your voters, not your donors. So if you take away private donors, well, there goes that incentive, and that's gigantic, right? And
so what about
small grassroots funding?
What about the whole thing with the whole issue with issue advocacy? Where evil super PACs can get around a lot of campaign financings by doing issue advocacy, which don't like support a political candidate, but just focus on like vaguely political issues. There's obviously like a major like free speech concern with not allowing this, because like if I want to fucking make a video about just like something that's interesting to me, like fucking consumption taxes, is that like a political thing that's restricted now? Can people not donate to me to make that content? Issue advocacy refers to political advertising focused on broad political issues rather than specific candidates. It does not attempt to persuade the public of particular electoral outcomes, but rather seeks to highlight broader political or social issues. Issue advocacy is distinguished from express advocacy. Yeah, then 1976, Buckley v. Vallejo, U.S. Supreme Court decision, established two types of political advertising: express advocacy and issue advocacy. Express advocacy advertisements explicitly recommended election or defeat of a candidate. They are also subject to federal campaign regulations. Issue advocacy advertisements, on the other hand, educate voters on broader issues. They are not campaign oriented. The Buckley decision, that's just a test for which is which. But I think a lot like the issue advocacy stuff is not subject to. I don't know if it's subject to any campaign regulation stuff.
Funding is a way to get past the threshold to get the funding to run an election. Well, then good, because then you're serving small donors, which are generally voters, right? So that's what you want. And ending private financing is critical.
In the United determined, among other things, it would be basically not possible for federal government to be in the business of determining what does and does not constitute issue advocacy or express advocacy.
But the second thing is ending corporate personhood. So this is where you get into a lot of fights, because you have two reasons. One is some folks have a principled position against it, and they say, well, I mean, the Sierra Club is technically a corporation. ACLU is technically a corporation. And so if you end corporate personhood, then that could endanger their existence, right? No, it doesn't endanger their existence.
Also, Cenk, do we let unions run ads for anything?
At all, right? So it doesn't endanger GM or GE's existence. It doesn't endanger anybody's existence. Corporations exist. We're not trying to take them away. I would never do that, right? That's not smart. That's not workable, etc. We're just saying they don't have constitutional rights. So they have the rights that we give them. And by the way, read the Founding Fathers. This is also in my book. They hated corporations. The American Revolution was partly against the British East India Company. And so the Tea Party in Boston was against that corporation. They threw their tea overboard. It was not against the British monarchy. And so all the Founding Fathers warned us over and over again. Watch out for corporations, okay? Because once they form, they will amass money and power and look to kill off democracy. And they were totally right. That's exactly what happened. And so it's not that you don't have them. It's that through democratic capitalism, you limit their power. You can give them a bunch of rights. You say, hey, you have a right to exist. You have a right to do this, this, and this, okay? But you do not have constitutional rights of a citizen. And so you don't have the right to speak to a politician by giving them $1 billion.
And you believe that the people will be able to find the right policies to regulate and tax the corporations such that capitalism can flourish still?
Yes. You know why? Because I'm a real populist and I believe in the people. So I drive the establishment crazy because they don't believe in me.
He drives even crazy.
Have you seen MAGA? Have you seen these guys? Have you seen the radicals on the left? We're so much smarter. You know how many Ivy League degrees we have, right? And we know what we're doing. No, you don't. No, everybody to some degree looks out for their own interests, right? Why I like capitalism and why I love democracy is because it's the wisdom of the crowd. And so in the long run, the crowd is right. Oftentimes in the short term, we're wrong, okay? But the wisdom of the crowd in the long run is much, much better than the elites that run things. The elites say, well, we're so smart and educated.
You know what book I will also read when I truly become evil? 10% Less Democracy. why you should trust elites a little more, the public a little less. This is a truly, truly evil arc. Jones presents 3 foundational lines of evidence. A has personal experience. First, a former staff in the U.S. Senate. He saw senators voted differently as elections grew closer. Second, as a macroeconomist, Jones knew the merits of an independent central bank, which set apart from the political process or controlled by powerful insiders. The consensus in the field is that this detached technocratic approach has worked far better than more political and democratic banking systems. Third, in his previous research on the effects of cognitive skills on political, social, economic systems revealed many ways in which well-informed voters improve government.
So we're going to know better what's good for you. No, brother, you're going to know what's better for you. And so here's something that a lot of people get wrong on the populist left and right. They think, oh, those guys are evil. They're not evil. I've met them. I worked at MSNBC. I worked on cable. I went to Wharton, Columbia Law. I know a lot of those guys. And so they're not at all evil. They don't even know that they're mainly serving their own interests. They just naturally do it, right? And so they think the carried interest loophole makes a lot of sense, right? They think corporate tax cuts makes a lot of sense. You not getting higher wages, you not having healthcare makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, but they get themselves to believe it. And that's another portion of the invisible hand on the market.
So there's problems with every path. So the elite, like you mentioned, can be corrupted by greed, by power, and so on. But the crowd, I agree with you, by the way, about the wisdom of the crowd versus the wisdom of the elite. But the crowd can be captured by a charismatic leader. So the problem with populism, and I'm probably a populist myself, the problem with populism is it can be and has been throughout history captured by bad people.
But if you say to me, trust the elites or trust the people, I'm going to trust the people every single time.
But that's why you're such an interesting, I don't want to say contradiction, but there's a tension that creates the balance. So to me, in the way you're speaking might result in hurting capitalism. So it's easy to, in fighting corporatism, to hurt companies. So to go too far the other way.
Yeah, of course.
And so, like when you talked about corporate tax, so
he admits that.
What's the magic number for the corporate tax? Because if it's too high, like companies leave. Right?
Yeah, companies have so much power right now. This pendulum has swung so far, and we're almost out of time. The window's closing. The minute private equity buys all of our homes, the residential.
Lex, please ask about it. Please ask about a destination-based cash flow tax. Destination-based cash flow tax. Please do it, Lex. Please tell me you know what a destination-based cash flow tax is.
Real estate market. We're screwed. We're indentured servants forever. Okay, there goes wealth creation for the average American. So you're right, Lex. It's not a contradiction.
Not many people are here right now, but I am setting something up with Micah for some podcast. So that'll be. I need a DM over time, but that'll happen.
It's a tension that is inevitable to get to balance. The reason why people kind of can't figure me out, they're like, well, you're on the left, but you're a capitalist, etc. That's not a contradiction. That's getting to the right balance. And in order to do that, like if you say, well, if we change the system, I'm afraid of change because what if the pendulum swings too far in the other direction, right? Well, then you would be opposed to change at all times. So if you do that, it actually reminds me of the Biden fight, right? So I'm like, guys, he has almost no chance of winning. He stands for the establishment. He can't talk. But then the number one pushback I'd get from Democrats was, yeah, but what if we change? It's so scary. We don't know about Kamala Harris. What if it's not Kamala Harris? It's so scary. Don't change. And I'm like, yeah, but if you say change might be worse, it also might be better. And you're at zero. Anything is better, right? And right now, in terms of corruption in America,
you got to think on the margin here. Switching out Biden was a really big change. And B, you also have to weigh. He's right. It could be better. And it turned out it was a lot better. Thank God. Thank fucking God. But there was a relatively big risk, or I don't know how big it was. I don't think it was that big of it, because Biden was fucking fucked. Of it not being better. You have to weigh those things.
America, we're at 98% corruption, so we got 2% decency left, brother. This is when you want change. And so and Lex, if you actually have wisdom of the crowd, just like in supply and demand, and how it works in economics, it works the same way in a functioning democracy. You go too far, you come back in. So, for example, when Reagan came into office, me and my dad, my family, we were Republicans. Why? At that point, the highest marginal tax rate was at 70%. 70% is too high, right? Now then he brought it all the way down to 28%. That's too low, right? So and that's how the system modulates itself. Already we were headed towards corruption because it's the 80s now. We're past 78, magic 78 marker, right? So and even Carter was way more conservative economically than people realize because we were already getting past it by the time it's in his administration. But the bottom line is, yes, whenever you have real wisdom of the crowd, whether it's in business or in politics, you're going to have fluctuation. You're going to have that pendulum swinging back and forth. You don't want wild swings, communism, corporatism, right? You want to get to, hey, where's the right balance here between capitalism and what people think is socialism?
Yeah, so I guess I agree with most of the things you said about the corruption. I just wish there would be more celebration of the fact that capitalism and some incredible companies in the history of the 20th century has created so much wealth, so much innovation that has increased the quality of life on average. They've also increased the wealth inequality and exploitation of the workers and this kind of stuff. But you want to not forget to celebrate the awesomeness that companies have also brought outside the political sphere, just in creating awesome stuff.
Look, I run a company, and so I don't want companies to go away, and I don't want you to hate all companies. I think Young Turks is a wonderful company, right? We provide great healthcare, we take care of our employees, we care about the community, etc. And we're building a whole nation online on those principles and the right way to run a company, right? But guys, we're at the wrong part of the pendulum. The companies have overwhelming power and they're crushing us. We're like that scene in Star Wars where the trash compactor is closing in on them, the walls are closing in. We're almost out of time because they've captured the government almost entirely. They're only serving corporate interests. We've got to get back into balance before it's too late. And that's why I care so much about structural issues. So I formed Justice Democrats. So that's AOC, et cetera, right? That's what people know it as the Squad. They know it as Justice Democrats, et cetera. I'm one of the co-founders of that. And my number one rule was no corporate PAC money. Okay. So you're not allowed to take corporate PAC money. By the way, now Matt Gaetz and Josh Hawley have stopped taking corporate PAC money and they've become, to some degree, on economic issues, genuine populists. It's amazing. It happens overnight. All of a sudden they're talking about holding corporations accountable, et cetera. Now, Justice Democrats wound up having other problems. They got too deep into social issues, not economic issues.
Which corporations do they want to hold accountable? What is it? Is it fucking pharma companies for myocarditis? I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. In fucking vaccines? Is that what they're doing? I haven't heard about it.
There's a general sort of criticism of billionaires, right? This idea. Now, you could say that billionaires are avoiding taxes
iron,
and
but
not
no
getting taxed
fucking
enough.
coal, dude.
But I think under that flag of criticizing billionaires is criticizing all companies that do epic shit, that build stuff.
Oh, okay. So
that create stuff. That's what I'm worried about. I don't hear enough like genuine. You know, I like celebrating people. I like celebrating ideas. I just don't hear enough genuine celebration of companies when they do.
No,
cool
because,
things.
okay, so are you right? Not about companies, but about capitalism? Yes. Because, you look at life expectancy 200 years ago and you look at it now and you go, wow, holy shit, we did amazing things, right? So, and what happened in the last 200 years? We went from dictatorships more towards democracy, wisdom of the crowd. We went from, serfs and indentured servants and a nobility that holds the land to more towards capitalism. And boom, the crowd is right. Things go really well. The advances in medicine are amazing. And medicine is a great example. So, and on our show, I point all those things out and I say, look, we hate the drug companies because of how they've captured the government, right? But we don't hate the drug companies for creating great drugs. Those drugs save lives. They save my life. They save countless millions upon millions of lives. So the right idea isn't shut down drug companies. The right idea is don't let them buy the government, right? So, and I know we get back into our instinctual shells. So on the left, they'll be, oh, we should get rid of all billion.
I don't know. That reminded me of that fucking was it it was the Demon Mama Vosh debate. Where Demon Mama was arguing for the whatever fucking anarcho supply chains for like making your own fucking homemade drug shit. That's a funny fucking debate, dude.
Billionaires. Why? Like, how does that fix the system? Tell me how it fixes the system, and I'm all ears, right? My solution is end private financing. Then you can be a billionaire all you like. You can't buy the government, right? That's a more logical way to go about it. I've never worn an Eat the Rich shirt.
Here it is. Yeah, literally. She was arguing for this, but for like... but for fucking drugs. She was like arguing for fucking bathtub insulin shit. Against fucking Vosh too. It was a fucking dumbass funny debate. Oh my god.
And it drives me crazy. I'm like, you would have eaten FDR, right? And FDR is the best president, most populous president, in my opinion. And so, no, there's wonderful rich people. Of course, there's a range of humanity, right? But you don't want to get rid of the rich. You don't want to get rid of companies, but you also don't want to let them control everything. So, okay, I'll give you an example that's really, and that informs a lot of how I think about things, which is my dad. So my dad was a farmer in southeastern Turkey near the Syrian border. No money. In fact, his dad died when he was 6 months old, and so they were saddled with debt, and no electricity in his house. Like as poor gets, and he wound up living the American dream. And so, how did he do that? What made the difference?
Eagles or Packers?
What made the difference is
I know like literally nothing about football. Okay, however, my mom was born in Wisconsin and does like the Packers, so I would always cheer for the Packers. So I'm gonna have to go with Packers. The only two teams I know are fucking Cole. Finally, Jesus, are the Packers and the Vikings because my dad is from Minnesota, so his side of the family would always cheer for the Vikings, and my mom is from Wisconsin, so her side would always cheer for cheer for the Packers, and I was always a mama's boy. So I will defend the Packers.
Opportunity.
Because I do love my mom.
I'm a populist because my dad was in the masses, right? And the elites say the masses are no good. We're smart, you're not. We're educated, you're not. We at meritocracy, we talk about that. We have earned merit. And if you are poor or middle class, you have not earned merit. Okay, you're useless and worthless. And I hate that. So what did Turkey do back in the 1960s that liberated my dad? They provided free college education. You had to test into it, okay? But the top 15% got a free college education at the best colleges in Turkey. And my uncle saved all of our lives when he came to my dad and said, "You like working on this farm?" And my dad's like, "Fuck no," right? It's super hot. It's super hard. They got to get up at 4 a.m. If they're lucky, the family next door gives them a mule. If they're not, they got to carry the shit themselves. Okay. So my uncle told him, work just as hard in school and you'll be able to get a house, a car, pretty girls, etc.
Pretty girls, man. I can't believe Hassan also had to go through all of this. So, also under constant terror attacks from the Kurds as well, if you can believe it.
So my dad works his ass off, gets into school, and he comes out a mechanical engineer and starts his own company. He creates a company in Turkey, hires hundreds of people. He then moves to America, creates a company here, hires tons of people, right? So do I hate companies? No, my dad set up 2 companies, and I saw how much it benefited people. I saw how much employees would come up to my dad 20, 30 years later in the street and hug him. And they tell me as a young kid, your dad's the most fair boss we ever had, and we love him for it, right? That's how you run a company. And he taught me the value of hard work. But the reason I brought it up here is because he taught me, look, like skill and ability is a genetic lottery. So you're not going to just get the rich to win all the genetic lottery. No, there's going to be tons of poor kids and middle-class kids who are just as good, if not better. You have to provide them the opportunity, the fair chance to succeed. You have to believe in them. So this isn't about disempowering anyone. It's about empowering all of those kids who are doing the right thing, who are smart and want to work hard so they can build their own companies and add to the economy.
What in general is your view on meritocracy?
So I love meritocracy. I wish that we lived in a meritocracy, and I want.
All right. Listen, I know I only streamed for a grand total of 2 hours, okay? But that's what you fucking get out of me today, okay? Fuck you guys. I'm just kidding. Thanks everyone for watching. I fucking edited a lot today. That's why I didn't stream for very long. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. I'm hanging out with friends, so I don't know. If I do, it'll be early. What's up with Tenet Media? They were receiving funding from Russia because they were doing Russian propaganda. Basically, the founders of Tenet Media knowingly collected money from Russians. They had formerly worked for Russia Today, a Russian state-owned and funded media company. And then they founded Tenet Media, and they basically laundered money through multiple shell entities in a less than legal way to Tenet Media for the purposes of promoting Russian talking points and sowing division in American society. It's not even like all about the Russia-Ukraine stuff. It's just about like sowing division in American society in general. Like they go over the like talking points that they want to do, like about how inflation is so bad and how the border is bad. But yeah, it's all about sowing division, causing chaos. Yeah, but the two founders basically were receiving money from two Russian people, Costa and Lena, and distributing it. I think they distributed 9.7 million to the commentators, and they kept $760,000 for themselves over a period of like a little longer than a year, I think. And they were using Discord, so we had the fucking Discord logs. That was funny that they were using Discord. Yeah, that's what's up with them. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll probably stream tomorrow because I did all my editing today. So I'll stream probably tomorrow, but it'll be a lot earlier than I usually do it. It'll be at like fucking 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. when I leave or something. Why did my comment not appear? YouTube is bad with censorship. It kind of censors. It censors stuff, and I have no control over it. It's really dumb. Yeah, YouTube does not have the same like moderation tool. So like I can ban words, but I can't even see like what words are banned by default. I don't have control over how strict the moderation is. Like Twitch like has its like AI thing, and you can set how strict you want the moderation to be. And I have it on, but I have it on like the least strict on Twitch. YouTube doesn't have that feature at all. YouTube's not very good for live streaming. Also, apparently PPG, who has been appearing on Turbo Stream, I have been informed, got banned as well and appealed and stayed banned. So we are no longer doing any content with PPG. I have not done any content with him for quite a while, since the wealth tax debate we had. But I'm no longer doing any while I'm streaming on Twitch. He's more. If anyone wants to go in his chat and tell him later, I'm more than willing to set some pre-planned stuff up, or I don't stream on Twitch. I only stream on all my other platforms. But yeah, so can't do any more Twitch content with him. So, thanks for watching. See you guys. Tomorrow, hopefully, at like 1 p.m. until I have to leave at like 5 p.m. Yeah. See ya. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye, chat.